care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Snow and 37 degrees at 3:03. Good afternoon. I'm Mark Fry. This hour's top story, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi is seeking the death penalty against Luigi Mangioni for the murder of Minnesota-based United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
This comes after an executive order was signed by President Trump to restore the federal death penalty earlier this year. University of Minnesota law professor James Mayer says it still may be difficult to get a jury from New York to consider that type of penalty.
It's obviously going to be nearly impossible to find jurors in New York who haven't heard something about the case. You've got to impanel a jury of people who are at least willing to impose the death penalty. So, right, that's one of the issues in death penalty cases, is that you can't seat a juror who is categorically opposed to capital punishment.
Mangioni faces federal charges of stalking and murdering Brian Thompson following the CEO's killing on December 4th outside a hotel in Midtown Manhattan. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Taylor Rivera, News Talk 830. WCCO.
Western and central Minnesota could see 6 or more inches of snow as a spring snowstorm works its way through the state. The storm will bring rain and snow to the Twin Cities metro throughout the evening and into tomorrow. National Weather Service Twin Cities meteorologist Brennan Detman.
We're going to have a pretty wet, slushy snow. It's going to be hard to shovel. So remember, if you're shoveling, the best thing to do with this is to push it rather than lift it.
Up to 10 inches of snow could fall north of the metro.
Wait a minute, what? That was the soundbite? That was the advice?
It's good advice. You don't want to hurt yourself in the snow. Come on, Jason.
I mean, I don't disagree, but, that's all just push it. All right. That's our newsroom. That's fine.
In other news, a Bemidji man has been sentenced to 6 years in prison after pleading guilty to fentanyl trafficking.
29-year-old Patrick Burton Strong was sentenced in federal court to the 6-year prison term, and according to court documents showed that between March 31st of 2024 and April 20th of the same year, he conspired to distribute fentanyl and illegally possessed a machine gun. He and 2 others bought $10,000 worth of fentanyl in Minneapolis, and on their way back to Bemidji, they were pulled over by a state trooper who suspected they were trafficking drugs. That trooper searched the SUV and found a backpack with about 100 grams of fentanyl powder, a ghost gun with a switch to make it fully automatic, and a large capacity magazine filled with more than 30 rounds of ammunition. Susie Jones, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Meanwhile, a bipartisan bill in the Minnesota Senate looks to stiffen penalties for people who expose children to fentanyl. Author of the bill, GOP Senator Paul Utke, says while the issue is widespread, he's ready to tackle it here in Minnesota.
Fentanyl is off the charts. Everywhere you look, it's labeled the most dangerous drug. So this just brings that, it gets it into the right place in statute where, because of how dangerous it is, it will have a penalty that follows how bad it is.
He says the bill will likely be added to a larger public safety package that the legislature is set to pass by the end of the session. It's 3:06, traffic and weather on the way.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Well, I got some wet roads out there. Snow falling across the entire metro. Get ready for it. Get ready for speeds below the post. You can give yourself some extra time. Certainly will need it this afternoon. Things are already jammed up for West 94 as you make way past 169 to Beaver Lake Road. 494 northbound slowing as move between Bass Lake Road and the Fish Lake interchange. 94 southbound jammed into Lowry Hill Tunnel. 35E northbound, some slowing between Victoria Street and downtown St. Paul. So again, just take it nice and easy this afternoon. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
If you have trees to trim or need tree removal, call an ISA certified arborist. Call the CCO Land Company I use. B&M Tree Service, 1-800-569-9034. Or get on the web, bnmtree.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
And the weather is brought to you by B&M Tree Service. Here is WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
The storm is hitting harder to the north. Here in the metro, we'll have light snow tonight that actually changes back to rain as temperatures warm. Rain showers tomorrow with a high of 45. We dry out for the Twins home opener on Thursday. Mostly cloudy with a high of 45.
All right, thank you, Chris. Right now, the snow is falling. It's 37 degrees at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Headlines that keep you informed. Conversations that pull you in. News Talk 830 WCCO. Buckle up. Time for the ride home and the chance to get caught up on the day's news. Plus, whatever else he wants to riff on. This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Here's the star of the show and your host, Jason DeRusha.
Are you ready? All right.
Now live on your radio and streaming to the world at WCCOradio.com and the Odyssey app. Here's Jason DeRusha.
I honestly cannot believe that the Department of Justice is trying to give Luigi Mangioni the death penalty. It's Jason. Welcome to Drive Time. I want to know what you think, because I think it is a terrible idea for multiple reasons. 651-461-9226. We have decided to elevate this murder, which is horrible, which was a murder, which should not be glorified. But we have turned this into something more than it is. And by bringing the death penalty as an option to Luigi Mangioni, the Trump administration and the federal government risks making this guy more of a martyr than he already is. Part of this is because President Donald Trump has ordered the Justice Department to get back to the death penalty. You'll remember that President Joe Biden put a moratorium on the death penalty for good reason, because we need to be sure as a government, as a society, if we are going to kill someone. I got to be honest, generally speaking, I do not love the death penalty. Dan and I were talking about this before the show, because a lot of people have very strong opinions on the death penalty. And of course, the worst person to ask is the family member of someone who's been killed, right? Because you have no, believe me, if somebody killed my wife, I'd want them killed too. And also, you should not ask me to make public policy about the death penalty. If I'm in that situation, I'm not going to be acting rationally. I'm going to be talking from the heart. I'm going to be talking all about emotion. I do think if you kill a certain number of people, maybe the death penalty is an appropriate situation. I don't know if it's 3 or 4 or 5. I don't know what the number is. Generally speaking, I have a moral issue with the government. And by the government, I mean me. It's all of us as a society. I have a moral issue with the government killing someone as part of a legal process, right? I'm not talking about war. I'm talking about as part of a legal process. That said, I think if you kill 4 or 5 people or more, my morals on this maybe slide. Vengeance maybe is appropriate there. But did Luigi Mangioni, assuming he's guilty, we believe he's guilty. This ain't court. This is just a little radio show. The guy absolutely executed Brian Thompson right on the street of New York City. Is that what you want for a death penalty case? Do you believe that Luigi Mangioni should be put to death? 651-461-9226 is our number. Dan, I know that you come at that. You're more absolute about this than I.
Yeah, no, I object to the death penalty on moral grounds, period, end of paragraph. There's no wiggle room for me on that one. I think it's a morally bankrupt idea. And I think when you compare the countries around the world that still have the death penalty to those that don't, I think it's pretty clear which list we should want to be on. And it's not the list we're currently on right now. Having said that, what I wonder, I do agree with you in this case that it's a bad idea in terms of making him a martyr. The number of people out there that already see this guy as a cause celeb, as somebody to celebrate. We were talking before the show. There's a bill out in California right now called the Luigi Mangioni Act that seeks to force health insurance companies to cover everybody regardless of any conditions whatsoever. And to name a bill after a murderer like this, to me, whatever you think about that idea of, forcing health insurance companies to to cover everybody, to name it after him is just obscene to me. So this isn't, softy on crime or anything like that. They
Right,
should lock this guy
right.
up in a 4x8 cell and let him out for an hour a day for the rest of his natural life, as far as I'm concerned. But I do not believe the government has the right to kill its citizens, period, end of paragraph.
651-461-9226. I am not as far on this with Dan. I think if you shoot up a school, I think if you shoot up a nightclub, I think if there are certain circumstances, I think certain terrorist attacks, the Oklahoma City bombing, 9/11, those kind of cases to me feel like federal government death penalty cases. Despite how offensive to my way of thinking the actions of Luigi Mangioni were, what's the point? What's accomplished by putting him to death? It makes him a martyr. It makes him a hero. It makes the government even more of a villain. Is the idea that this would have a chilling effect or a kind of make people think twice? No way. No way. I think the arguments in favor of the death penalty are generally ridiculous. Most research has found that no one who's considering killing someone thinks they're going to be caught. So on top of it, they certainly aren't worried about getting the death penalty. But sometimes I think vengeance is fair. Sometimes justice is getting even. It is. And so, to me, this is not that case. This undermines the whole argument, I think, that sometimes vengeance is the right course of action. Let's go to Tim in Wilmer. He's on the CCO Talk and text line. Tim, do you think, assuming Luigi Mangioni is found guilty, should he face the death penalty?
No, I tell you, I'm against the death penalty for one major reason, and that's the fact that I think we all consider life sacred, and if it is that sacred, are we just doing the opposite by taking another life for justice? To me,
I think we are, Tim. I think I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I just don't think that we should ignore the fact on how sacred life is. So
yeah,
that's my point.
Very good. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. 651-461-9226. Chris is in Lake Minnetonka. Chris, do you think the death penalty is appropriate?
You bet I do.
How come?
I think we should increase it. We're way too mamby-pamby on all crime. That's why we've got so many repeated criminals. Rape, robbery, murder, death penalty right there for all three of them. Get them out of here.
What if we get it wrong?
That does happen sometimes.
Right.
But we better make sure before we make that decision.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality for me is I get where you're coming from, and just from a sheer vengeance, I think we have this idea that justice all has to be, I don't know, it has to prevent crime in the future, it has to have some restorative function. I do think sometimes justice is straight up about saying, you did something awful. We are now doing something awful to you. It's straight up punishment. I just worry that we won't, if you get it wrong once, I don't know, man. Like, I would have a hard time, like, if I were the one pushing the button and then it turned out like, whoops, we killed the wrong guy. Like that's where I struggle.
I gotta agree with you there, but I just think we're just so easy on them that, look at the carjackings a couple years ago. Those kids were taking cars to take cars, getting slapped on the wrist, going out, stealing another car. And, you know, you got to stop these guys because, like you said, one day it's going to be your wife or my wife. And, you know, then we got a whole different attitude inside our heart. We don't need that. So, but I appreciate your show and appreciate what you're doing, brother. Enjoy it.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate your insight and your views. 651-461-9226. Lots of text. Jeff, stay on the line. More conversation as this news is just breaking this afternoon. The federal government saying they want to put Luigi Mangioni to death if he's found guilty of murdering the United Healthcare executive, Brian Thompson, here from Minnesota. More in a minute on Drive Time.
Drive Time with DeRusha is back after this on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Let's talk about a family-owned business that has been making an impact in Minnesota for 91 years. Serdik's Liquor and Cheese Shop is an institution for all the right reasons. And right now at Serdik's, they've got a nice deal going on what they're calling better for you beverages. These are the functional adult NA beverages, those seltzers that have just been going like crazy. Serdik's has an incredible selection of all of these, almost 300 different items on sale. And you can preview that sale right now. Go check it out at Serdik's.com. Now, that variety goes to the innovation from this fourth-generation family-owned business. It's Melissa, it's Taylor Serdik over at the corner of University and Hennepin. They are bringing classes to the table every week, free tastings every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, huge events. It's all about giving you something new, something exciting, some reason to come back to the store. So come back. If you haven't been to Serdik's in a while, they'd love to see you. Tell them you heard Jason talk about them on Drive Time, or shop online. Serdik's.com. You can get delivery right to your home. That is Serdik's.
Earth Day is Tuesday, April 22nd. At News Talk 830 WCCO, we believe that if everyone would do one thing to improve the environment every day, our world would be a better place to live in for generations to come. WCCO is proud to support electronics recycling of Minnesota's mission to maximize, reuse, and minimize environmental impact, beginning at collection and extending the useful life of electronic devices. Safe and secure electronics recycling. Go to ecyclemn.com for more details.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer-detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
If your kids have moved out and you have way more space in your home than you need, you probably asked yourself if it's worth living in a home that big anymore. Hey, it's Vanita. If you're thinking about downsizing, if you're ready, contact my friend, the Good Neighbor agent, John Schuster, with the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Peggy and Ray were in this situation. They'd been hearing about the Schuster Group here on CCO Radio and knew John could give them a stress-free experience while selling their home for the most money possible. Peggy and Ray got multiple offers on their home and it sold for a great price. They got to pick their move-out date too, and it's all thanks to the John Schuster Group. That's the kind of experience you can have. Trust my friend. Contact John for full details. 952-222-9000. Online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. johnschustergroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply. ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Drive Time with DeRusha. Now video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Talking about the death penalty for Luigi Mangioni. Joe Beth on Facebook, who is watching our live stream at the WCCO Radio Facebook page. You can watch, by the way, on YouTube or on my X account, DeRusha J. Joe Beth says he should not be eligible for the death penalty. It's an outdated form of punishment that should not be used. What say you? It's 651-461-9226. There are a fair amount of texters who are in favor of it. Jason, I'm in favor of punishing the criminals and murderers, but I do not like supporting them with my tax dollars. It is an interesting, the financial argument of this, which, by the way, like if you are using the financial argument of this as a rationale, you're sort of a sicko, right? You're like, we're talking about a human life. If you think like, well, let's run a financial analysis as to whether it's better to spend life in prison or should we just kill the guy? Like, are you okay? Like, is that a valid thought process? But for those of you sickos out there, the Cato Institute, which is a sort of libertarian, conservative-leaning think tank, says that life in prison without possibility of parole typically costs taxpayers about $60,000 to $70,000 per death row inmate per year. They're saying basically that death penalty, that the execution is way more expensive than regular holding somebody in prison for life. So total figure around $1.5 million is one of the estimates, they say. So a lot of the analysis have said death penalty is 10 times more expensive than life in prison. Again, to me, not a valid part of it. But come on. Another texter says, to hell with him and all the rest. Hope to meet him in hell. I just think Luigi Mangioni, what he did was horrible. Life in prison is valid. But executing Mangioni for what is essentially, and there's no such thing as a run-of-the-mill murder, but this was a premeditated run-of-the-mill murder. His reason for doing it was political, but is that reason to kill the man? I don't know. Let's go to Shirley in Oakdale. Shirley, you are on CCO. Do you think death penalty should be in play here? Well, we accidentally hung up on Shirley. There's a lot going on in here. Sorry about that, Shirley. How about Jeff? Let's go to Jeff in Albertville. Jeff, you're on CCO. What do you think?
Hey, Jason. Hey, so I am in favor of the death penalty. I think we should put the worst of the worst murderers away. The electric chair, lethal injection, whatever. Having said that, I don't think this should be a death penalty case. I don't think Mangioni is among the worst of the worst. What he did was terrible enough, but I think life without parole is appropriate in this case.
Yeah, and Jeff, like my opposition to the death penalty is more my fear that we get it wrong. And I am on the fence about it morally as to whether we as a society should be executing people. That said, like if you kill, I don't know, my moral compass on this slides very easily, right? If you shoot up a schoolroom of kids, you're gone, in my opinion. You know, if you Tim McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bombing, absolutely should have been and was executed by the federal government.
Any
Mangioni.
child killer, period, should go away.
Yeah, and if you kill a soldier like on duty, I have sort of. I mean, so like I'm no moral absolutist on this, but Mangioni. I mean, I hate to say pretty ordinary murder, but this, other than the premeditated part of it and his reason for it, it was kind of a run of the mill murder. Awful. Life in prison for sure. I have no interest in any of this making this guy a martyr and, he was justified because give me a break. He is a cold-blooded killer.
Exactly, yeah. But I don't think to the level of the death penalty in this case. That's my opinion.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Shirley's back from Oakdale. Shirley, sorry for hanging up on you. You're on CCO. What do you think?
I used to be in favor of the death penalty, but with more forensics and with the Aliveness Project or whatever it's called, that takes cases from people that say, I did not do this. And then they, in fact, find out they didn't and couldn't because of where they were or whatever the case may be. If we put take one person's life out of all of them that shouldn't have been put to death, that's one too many.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
The other thing is people worried about their almighty tax dollar. There's evidence to show that it costs more to keep someone on death row than it does to keep them in prison. So don't tell me about how much it costs.
Yeah. It's kind of a morally bankrupt argument anyway, but on top of it,
well, it is.
It's also wrong. It's also wrong.
Yeah. It's wrong on a lot of levels, but I just think with all the forensics we have, unless we have empirical evidence that this person in fact did it, then if you want to consider it, it's still an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and that's wrong. Read that in a book once.
Shirley, thank you. There goes Shirley. Lots of good texts coming in on this as well. Jason, why are we pretending that we put people to death easily or regularly without an abundance of evidence? Of course, if there's doubt about the perpetrator, then you shouldn't use capital punishment. The problem with that is that the prosecutors never think there's doubt about it. And then years later, you find out like, whoops, that was wrong. Another texter says, Jason, I'm in favor of the death penalty, but there must be DNA or photographic evidence or admission of guilt to eliminate the he was innocent argument. If you're going to do the death penalty, I would be in favor of having like some sort of minimum evidence requirement. Jason, in this case, I would be fine with it. And absolutely, it would be a deterrent to the next one. I just think the argument that the death penalty is a deterrent is an argument that a logical, rational person makes and not an argument that anyone who's a potential murderer would consider. What sort of right mind are you in when you think, you know what I'm going to do to fight back against the oppression of the health insurance industry? I'm going to follow this guy to New York City, wait outside the hotel where I know he's going to investor conference and execute him. And then get on my bike and make a run for it. And then go to McDonald's and sit down. Like, come on.
But you're going to get halfway through that thought and go, oh, wait a minute. But if I do all of that, they might put me to death, so I better not do that.
Like, no way. I just don't buy it. Jason, I don't see how you're not for the death penalty, says a texture. You kill me every afternoon. That's very boom. Very good. All right, we'll break. When we come back, fascinating new research that I wish was around when I was in college. It is a look at whether we're making our students, do we have the balance right? Is the balance right? How much should college students work? Not on the job, but studying. Are we overworking them? What's going on? Getting a job. Is there too much time spent at a job? Does the job help or not? Very, very interesting stuff when we come back.
We need a quick pit stop. Then Jason DeRusha continues on News Talk 830 WCCO.
It's snowing outside right now. So you're sort of a weirdo if you're thinking about your lawn, right? You're thinking about your spring lawn. And if you are my kind of weirdo, I want you to reach out to Professional Turf, Pro Turf at professionalturf.com. It's Jason here for my team at Pro Turf. They're local, they're family owned. They've been here in Minnesota for 3 decades. And I cannot wait to just get the snow that I'm watching live out the window, get it out of here, and let my green, weed-free lawn emerge. Spring will be here, baseball ready to go. My lawn last year looked better than ever. It was thicker, it was fuller, it was free of weeds, and it's all because of Pro Turf. I signed up again right away for this year. One of their landscape designers has been with the company for 20 years. One of their irrigation guys has been there for 20 years. One of their lawn techs has been there for 26 years. So if you're dreaming about a brand new landscaping project, Pro Turf can help you out with that. Look at some of their great projects at professionalturf.com. And I want you to call them today to sign up for one of their techs to come on and turn on your sprinkler system, because they can detect problems that'll save you money and save you water come the summer. Reach out at professionalturf.com or schedule an in-person estimate at 952-469-8680.
Financial advice should be holistic and tailored to your life. I'm Ryan Antkowiak, financial advisor with Baird Private Wealth Management and the president of the Financial Planning Association of Minnesota. At Baird, we provide investment and financial planning advice for all areas of your life: family, retirement, estate planning, and charitable giving. Plus, we coordinate with your tax and legal advisors to ensure you have one comprehensive financial plan that makes sense for you. Discover the Baird difference. Visit BairdTwinCities.com.
Chad back here with you on CCO. Always a pleasure when I get the chance to talk about Pella Windows and Doors, this great company celebrating 100 years in business. My house I'm living in now, yeah, a customer of Pella for 20-some years, moving to a new place, yeah, Pella Windows and Doors. They will come out for a free, no-obligation visit. You can go to their place, Plymouth and Woodbury, their showroom. Great deal right now. $750 off your Pella project and 0% APR for 12 months. PellaNorthland.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS.
Through HIMSS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Hey, Adam Carter here, inviting you to join me December 4th as we uncover the unique charms of Austria and Germany, visiting the magical Christmas markets with Colette. We'll unpack once and stay 5 nights in Innsbruck, nestled in the heart of the amazing Alps. We'll enjoy fairy tale cities where age-old culture is interwoven into seasonal specialties. There will be plenty of time for Glühwein and shopping in all the classic Christmas markets, and we'll visit the magnificent medieval cities of Salzburg, Oberammergau, and Munich. Plus, journey by train to the Alpine mountain village of Seefeld and get whisked away on an actual horse-drawn Christmas sleigh. This and so much more. Colette covers all the details, from arranging flights, meals, hotels, and local experiences. Your only job is to have the time of your life. Don't miss your chance to join me for this magical experience. Meet me and the folks from Colette Tuesday, April 8th at 6 p.m. at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park for an info session to learn more about this exciting trip. Visit WCCOradio.com or call Colette at 800-581-8942.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Stall causing problems 35W northbound on the ramp to westbound 94. It is blocking the right lane, and that's helping to keep things slow as you come up from 46th Street, so get ready for the delays there. 490 westbound jammed up as you move past 12th Avenue, heading up to 35W. Northbound 35E crash at Wheelock Parkway on the right shoulder, and then up ahead at Little Canada Road, we got an accident into the right lane. Stop-go stuff in place as you come up from University Avenue. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Washburn McCreevy Funeral Chapels and Cremation Services has been providing compassionate and personalized service for over 160 years. Honor your loved one and ensure your own wishes are met. Call 612-377-2203 or visit washburnmccreevy.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
All right, it's snowing right now. Weather brought to you by our friends at Washburn McCreevy Funeral, Cremation, and Pre-Planning Services. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Heavy snow continues to fall and accumulate to the north and west. Here in the Twin Cities, we'll see some light snow with some light accumulation possible. That will change over to rain as temperatures warm overnight. It is going to stay windy. It stays windy tomorrow, but warm enough for rain showers in the metro with a high of 45, while that snow continues to fall and accumulate up north.
And the live radar shows sort of a crazy division as the metro area inside the 494 loop is getting snow. But Hudson, Stillwater, Hastings, Lakeville, I see rain there. So we're right on the cusp for sure. Right now in downtown St. Paul, it's 37 on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
That is the number one addiction in America. Is there any doubt about it?
No, I don't think so.
It's not close.
No.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
If the world was
It is Twins Ticket Tuesday right here on CCO. When you hear kind of the bat crack and the crowd go crazy, caller number 3 will win a 4-pack of tickets to Sunday's game. That's Kids Opening Day. First 5,000 fans, 12 and under, get a City Connect beanie. You can get tickets at twins.com/tickets. But Sunday, April 6th, against the Astros at 1:10 p.m. So look forward to giving those tickets away. Our first Twins Ticket Tuesday that involved me. I know you guys have one when I was on vacation. That doesn't count. It's my freaking show.
Okay.
Somebody else gives away a ticket. It didn't happen. It's my deal.
Okay.
Get a job. It's what a lot of us did when we were in college. I think I had 3 jobs at one point while I was a student at Marquette University. Dan, did you work while you were in college?
Not for the first couple of years, but eventually, yes.
Eventually you did. A lot of parents think that getting a job is important for college students. Some have to do it to work their way through college. Some parents think it's important for other reasons. But a professor at Minnesota State Mankato thought, I wonder if this is a good idea or not. Keenan Hartert is with us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline. And I found this research fascinating. Dr. Hartert, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's exciting.
What got you interested to start looking at this question?
Oof, I mean, gets into the fact, like, we want these kids that are working hard. Like, this gets at the good of the comments in that Star Trib article was like, I want someone who is working that big job and succeeding. I want that person. And I was like, I agree.
Yes.
So I wanted to be able to see, like, hey, what can we do for those, like, extra badass students? I don't know if I can say that.
You can,
to support them.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, what can we do for them to make sure that they're still succeeding in the classroom while gaining the big, good, translatable skills that you're going to get from a job that you can't get from class? And I know that better, well, not better than anybody, trust me, but enough. Motivation was, my dad had to put himself and kind of my mom through college alone. Dad out in northern Colorado, packing meat at Montford, Colorado factory, all that stuff, like cow meat and all that crap. Yeah, it was terrible. And so I remember that. And I was like, God, he reflects a little bit, though, how it was a strange thing. He started going to class more once he was serious, once those like organizational type of things came. So it was kind of the reverse. One thing, but then the main story here was like, had a student that was in nursing, would do great in class, everything's looking good, bomb the exam. And the second time I was like, what is happening? We've done this together. What's going on? Multiple overnight shifts, 12 hours each, showing up to the exam without sleeping. And I was like, oh, dang, like this is, we got to find someone here. So like you said, there's a balance in this. And like, that's the main thing that I want to, people find it funny. I'm like, I'm actually pro work. I'm actually definitely pro that they go out there and be part of the community, meet people, contribute, learn. I got a lot of pre-medical types in my biology classes, and I was like, they're always like, I don't want to count my serving job in my, AMCAS application. I was like, no, you should. Those are patients you're talking to. Those are people you're talking to, right? So
yeah.
good stuff.
It's
But,
I find this
yeah.
so, and obviously I have a high school senior about to graduate and go to college, and I have a college sophomore at NYU in New York. And this idea as to whether or not my high school senior he works at a restaurant. There are weeks that he works 20 or 30 hours a week now, and he's like, I'm for sure going to work when I go to college. And I thought, like, well, should he? Like, I worked, but like not all kids, I think, are able to balance that. I worked, but I was a broadcasting major. Like, if I missed a broadcasting class, like, it wasn't the end of the world. You know what I mean? But I do worry about the kids, and some of me thinks that the kids are too lazy, Keenan, and they could work more. And then some of me thinks, like, well, some of these kids who are working like crazy, I'm worried that they're not learning enough. So that's sort of what you found, right?
It's that balance. Yeah. And like what we found in like the data, and here's the other caveat, it's like stats and data predict populations, not individuals. Like you said, you can have the ones that are working a bunch and they're doing great. Like I had one that was ROTC, track and field, and 20 hours plus, lights out, awesome in class. I've got others that don't work at all. And it's just like, oops, didn't work. Didn't work out. No. And then another, that was another part of the community conversations we had after the article was like, are the students like, is the work ethic going down? I can't comment generationally on stuff, but trust me, I do get in a lot of my students' faces and I'm like, I challenge them. I'm like, hey, we need more resilience from you. We need more effort. We need more organization. And talking to a Minnesota community member after the article, that was his way of getting it done, was like, I'm organized. I plan my classes around work. I made sure I stuck to a schedule. And he had that sort of atomic habit set up and really made it move. The key thing, although work alone was one of the data that was like significantly associated with not doing great, is that working too much was significantly associated with one other thing. And that was not going to class. There it is. And then once you're crossed into that bridge, then it's lights out. So that's the real, that's the underlying factor that the work kind of goes towards. So you had mentioned your kids, for example, and as long as you're going to class, I've never seen a ton that affects. And that's the good news from all this, is that so long as you can make that time still, and it's not going to be easy, trust me, in a lot of cases, because a lot of our students, like I said in the article, it's like they don't really have a choice, basically.
Yeah, it's not a choice, exactly. But for some kids it is, right? And so is there a number of hours that's sort of the tipping point where you would say, all right, if you're working more than X, then you're more likely to not come to class?
Yeah. I mean, and again, like population prediction, I would definitely trend around that 20 to 25 to 30 mark. You start seeing, and I can say this a little anecdotally and with the data, you start seeing a couple drop-offs, and you especially start seeing them in the middle of that semester where it's like, I'm tired. I haven't gone to the gym. I haven't worked out. I haven't slept. Two of the anti-correlations with work were sleeping and the amount of times you exercise. So as much as a sports meathead as I am, I was like, get in the gym, guys. It's actually good for you to don't let that organization get the better of your schedule. But no, and I think another good thing that we talked about, people ask, like, what about the athletes? They're doing 20 hours a week in their sports.
Sure.
And I separated them as a group. They did better than any group.
What do you think that's about?
Organization, drive, bunch of others. I mean, the resilience of understanding that you're going to lose sometimes and you got to pick yourself back up for it. Not that you need to do athletics for that, but man, you can't last too long in D2 college athletics without knowing how to lose and pick yourself back up a bit.
So interesting. Dr. Keenan Hartert from MSU in Mankato. The Minnesota Star Tribune wrote about this story. You mentioned that as well. And when they wrote about your research, I was interested to see just how many college students actually work. something like the federal government estimates something like 64%. Is that right? That's a lot of kids working while they're in college, and maybe some of it. Well, I know how much college costs. Like I understand.
Oh yeah.
Why they're doing that. Are there so knowing this is sort of reality? Are there things as a college or as a professor that you can do to try to? I don't know. These are kids who just
tough.
Yeah. How do we help those kids through?
The funny thing is that the answer is not just pure money, because I've literally asked some of them that were working like 40 a week, and I was like, "What if we gave you a scholarship to replace that?" And they were like, "Well, I'm just going to go to work and take that money then."
Yeah, that would have been me. That would have been me in college.
Yeah. But I did actually. A family friend was like, we were talking, and he's like, if there was some sort of community partnership with like bigger names in the community, it's like maybe there's some like tuition credit you can get, like a partnership some kind, things like that. Anecdotally, what we intervened on, and we actually flipped the script on the ones that were working too much this semester in the big genetics class that I do the study in. We did the biggest thing they couldn't do was like, I can't come to office hours. I can't come to class. I'm too busy. This biology classes have labs though. And so I was like, hey, 20 minutes in each lab. We rarely do the 3 hours every lab. I was like, I've got peer leaders, I've got the TAs, I've got me. Let's do some practice exam stuff right here.
Yeah.
And then I know I've got them in the schedule. And so the good news was like the people that did those reviews at least once before every test were like double significantly better off on the exams than the people that didn't.
So good. Yeah. It's so good. It's so interesting. It's such a great, like, this is, people have their opinions on what's going on in colleges across America. This is like, what a great example of a professor sort of seeing a problem or seeing an opportunity to look for solutions and then doing that research. I just think it's great. So thanks for looking into it, and thanks for sharing some time with us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason.
Really cool. Dr. Keenan Hartert from Minnesota State University in Mankato. It is 3:49. Let's break and talk April Fools. Dan Cook has had enough of April Fools. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Don't touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRusha coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, let's talk about my guy, Chris Lindahl. It's Jason here, arms wide out. You see him on the billboard. You've seen the commercials. You hear him on CCO radio. Chris Lindahl is a friend of mine, and right now he wants, the last time we were talking, he's like, Jason, everything is so uncertain. We got the interest rates that are uncertain, the housing market, what's going to happen when spring happens. People are uncertain about the economy. They're uncertain about tariffs, on and on and on. But there are times in life when you need to sell your house. Maybe something happens in your family, something happens in your life, you're relocating for a job. Certainty is available to you. And that's why Chris Lindahl came up with the guaranteed cash offer. If you go to chrislindahl.com, you can start the process to find out what your house is worth. And you have certainty. I am certain that you will get to closing day. I am certain that you will get a market-leading cash offer for your house. And I am certain that you will be able to pick your closing date. In fact, Chris Lindahl has a program where you can stay in your home if you need a little bit of extra time to move. The housing market is something I'm certain you cannot control, but you can control when you sell your house, and you can do it today at chrislindahl.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Spring is here, and now's the perfect time to finally upgrade your outdoor space with Buy the Yard. March 28th through April 7th, Buy the Yard is offering up to 24-month special financing, so you can enjoy your new furniture now, so you can step into spring with confidence and an outdoor space you love. Stop by the showrooms, Woodbury, Maple Grove, or Jordan to apply, or get started online at buytheyard.net. But don't wait. This limited time offer is a great way to bring home durable, maintenance-free furniture that's built to last. Buy the Yard. Life is better outdoors.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body?
Huh?
That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture with daily use.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities. So it puts less stress on our household and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Advantage Seamless Gutters is now Advantage Home Pros. New look, same pros. Still locally owned and now taking care of all your gutter and roofing needs. Spring cleanup is just around the corner. Don't spend your weekends on a ladder cleaning your gutters when you could be spending time with family and planning that spring break trip. Trust your local gutter pros, Advantage Home Pros. Now your local custom roofing pros. With the highest quality workmanship and materials. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros. AdvantageHomePros.com.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Things running on the slow side with the rain-snow mix happening across the metro. You get some wet roads. Give yourself some extra time. You're certainly going to need it. Make sure your headlights are on too as well, please. Traveling north 35E, the problems at Little Cannock Road have cleared out, but it is still a bit of a slow ride coming up from Kellogg Boulevard. West 94 jammed into Minneapolis and make way past Cretin Avenue. 494 eastbound, that's jammed up as make way between the Bush Lake roads heading over towards Lindale. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Thinking about getting a new job? Flint Hills Resources would love to hear from you. They have competitive pay, great benefits, and they treat their employees well. Go to FHR.com/careers to apply.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
It is snowing in much of the Twin Cities right now. Live radar. Thanks to Flint Hills Resources, bringing us this weathercast. Showing snow in downtown Minneapolis. A lot of the South Metro and the East Metro, you're seeing rain right now. Snow moving to rain in the overnight hours. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. And then how about some rain tomorrow? High of 45. Thursday, mostly cloudy. High of 45. Opening day, no rain, looks all right. Greatest snow will be to the north. We have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings in those areas. It should be 50. Right now it's 42 on CCO.
Jason DeRusha.
Who can say that they don't care about something with more passion than me? My passionate indifference is what makes this show special.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
It is April Fool's Day, the day that I believe nothing. I believe nothing. A lot of the pranks today, I don't know. Here's my belief. If you are going to do an April Fool's joke, Tiger Woods tried to do a April Fool's joke today. If you're going to do an April Fool's joke, you have to commit to the bit. Tiger posted early this morning. What did he say? He says, a few weeks, I can't believe I am saying this, but a few weeks after rupturing my left Achilles, the sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber plus the explosive lifts, my doctors and trainers have me ready to play the Masters next week. Can't wait. See y'all on the course. 6 minutes later, he posed, P.S. April Fools, my Achilles is still a mess. Smile emoji. 6 minutes. Tiger. Let the internet go crazy for a little bit. What is the point of an April Fool's prank if You're like, ba, hilarious, hilarious. My new brand is this. April Fools. Commit to the bit. Dan, you hate all of this. You were mad about this yesterday.
Yeah,
It
I don't
didn't
like
even
April
start.
Fools. I don't like practical jokes. I think they make people look and feel stupid, and I'm not into that. So that's probably some projection on my part. But
I am not a good prankster. So that was my brother did the bucket of water above the door, the saran wrap on the toilet, all of that bit. I don't know. We're too cynical now. We're too aware of it. Time to retire April Fools.
Losing a loved one is hard enough before you have to start worrying about what to do with their things. If you inherit their home and need to sell it, the only call I would make would be to my friend, the Good Neighbor agent, John Schuster, with the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Hey, it's Vanita. Melissa was in this situation. She worked with the Schuster Group to sell a home she inherited. She didn't know what to expect. She was overwhelmed. John's known for selling homes quickly and for the most money possible. He was able to get her multiple offers in less than 5 days. Her home sold for more than $25,000 over the asking price. Melissa had a sale stress-free. Contact John for full details. 952-222-9000 or online at johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply. Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
The way to keep up to date while you're on the go. News Talk 830 WCCO 102.9 KMNB HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Always streaming on the free Odyssey app.
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Michael Wallace. There are two special elections in deep red congressional districts in Florida today to fill vacant House seats. Brian Gore says he's voting for Republican Randy Fine, though he doesn't know much about him.
We need to keep the House. That's the most important thing.
Voters in Wisconsin are also going to the polls to fill a vacant seat on the state's Supreme Court.
The Wisconsin election pits liberal Judge Susan Crawford against Republican-endorsed Judge Brad Schimmel in what has been the most expensive judicial election in American history. Larry Sabato with the University of Virginia Center for Politics says the state in nearly all elections is so closely divided, usually within a point or so.
If the Democrat wins the Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin, Democrats nationally will trumpet it as a big victory. And actually, in this case, it's true. This seat is the swing seat on the state Supreme Court.
Matt Piper, CBS News.
The White House says the reciprocal tariffs President Trump will announce tomorrow will take effect right away. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the tariffs will boost American manufacturing.
The lack of reciprocity contributes to our large and persistent annual trade deficit that's gutted our industries and hollowed out key workforces.
Some economists fear the tariffs could spark more inflation. Virginia Democratic Senator Tim Kaine has drafted a resolution that would end the emergency declaration Trump signed in February to impose tariffs on Canada. That declaration cited the flow of fentanyl over the northern border.
The president has justified the imposition of these tariffs on, in my view, a made-up emergency.
CBS's Natalie Brand reports layoffs have begun at the Department of Health and Human Services.
The reduction in force notices actually went out today, with some employees reporting, showing up at work and their badges were not working.
Up to 10,000 jobs could be cut at HHS. CBS's Christopher Cruz reports some federal workers who are ordered to get back to the office aren't finding much once they get there.
Some returning employees often have no place to work from, no one to clean the toilets, take out the trash, or provide cleaning supplies, and no place to park. The New York Times reports some cafeterias have run out of food and offices have run out of office supplies.
Parts of the upper Midwest have yet to recover from a weekend ice storm.
Tens of thousands of homes and businesses remain without power and heat in northern Wisconsin and northern lower Michigan. Nan Elizabeth Casey has lived her whole life in Petoskey, Michigan.
When I grew up, we had so much snow that it was up on a rooftop, and we never had anything like this.
There's been so much damage to the region's utility system, many areas could be without electricity into next weekend. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
The Dow lost 11 points today. NASDAQ up 150. This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Snow and 37 degrees at 4:03. I'm Mark Fry. This hour's top story: the Hennepin County Medical Examiner has now officially identified the man killed in the plane crash in Brooklyn Park on Saturday. While it's been known for a few days now, it was Terry Dolan, an executive with U.S. Bank in Minneapolis, who died when that plane went down. It landed on a house and burst into flames. No one on the ground was hurt. The cause of the crash still under investigation. St. Paul police looking into the city's second reported homicide of the year.
Officers were called to a home on the 1400 block of 6th Street East in the Dayton's Bluff neighborhood. This is not far from Harding High School. They found a man in his 20s suffering from multiple stab wounds who died after he was taken to Regents Hospital. St. Paul Police Sergeant Toy Vixabon.
Our officers secured the scene. Our homicide investigators, along with our forensic services unit, responded and are currently working to determine what led to the stabbing and who is responsible.
The victim is not identified. Police are asking anyone with information on the incident to contact them. Al Schock, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Wisconsin voters are at the polls today deciding who will fill a vacant state Supreme Court seat. Republican Brad Schimmel or Democrat Susan Crawford, giving either conservatives or liberals a 4-3 majority. Alongside issues like abortion access, the court's makeup also could impact the state's congressional lines. Larry Jacobs is a professor of politics at the University of Minnesota.
We've seen in Wisconsin the ways in which the courts have really put their finger on the scale, particularly when Republicans had the majority. For instance, the Republican legislature was able to establish a remarkable kind of tilting of elections through redistricting.
A proposed bill at the Minnesota State Capitol looks to create new scholarship for licensed police officers and their dependents to pursue a degree within the fields of criminal justice or law enforcement. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara telling WCCO Radio's Adam and Jordana today they're looking for whatever support the city and state officials are looking to give, even if it is just words.
I do feel like the police officers who are here over the last 5 years, in a lot of ways, have felt like they have not even had their humanity acknowledged at times. And they suffered through one of their coworkers being murdered almost a year ago, and a whole lot of frustrations over things that were not said when Officer Mitchell was killed.
Lawmakers behind the proposal say there are more than 1,000 open positions in law enforcement throughout the state. Walleye tacos, dill pickle pizza, and grilled Spam sandwiches are just some of the new foods that the Minnesota Twins fans can try at Target Field this year. The team unveiling the new food and drink options today during an event before Thursday's home opener. Delaware North General Manager Peter Spike says a new open market at sections 105 and 109 will give fans a quicker shopping experience when getting their food and drinks at Twins games.
Now you're able to just get what you want and go up and pay and get back. So, transaction time should increase. We've increased the number of points of sale, which should add to the guests' improved experience to get them back to the game now that we have a little bit shorter games with pitch clocks.
And you can find a full list of the new foods and drinks on our website, WCCOradio.com. The Twins home opener set for Thursday against Houston, a 3:10 first pitch. It's 4:06, traffic and weather on the way.
CCO. Let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Got some wet roads out there. Give yourself some extra time. Make sure you're buckled up, and please turn on your headlights. Got a crash working on East 94 near Portland Avenue into the left lane. Things are slow as you come down from Highway 55 into the Lowry Hill Tunnel over to the crash. 35W northbound slowing past Hennepin Avenue up to Highway 36. 610 eastbound. That's going to be a slow ride as move between Broadway and 252. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
And here is WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
The storm is hitting harder to the north. Here in the metro, we'll have light snow tonight that actually changes back to rain as temperatures warm. Rain showers tomorrow with a high of 45. We dry out for the Twins home opener on Thursday. Mostly cloudy with a high of 45.
All right, thank you, Chris. Snow 36 degrees at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Rooted in Minnesota, made for Minnesotans, but good for fans streaming us anywhere on the globe. News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie, just DeRusha. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise.
I'm super excited to introduce to you
Jason DeRusha.
Last night ended a 4-year process for my family. And it kind of sucks. It's Jason. Welcome to Drive Time. The process of applying for college today is so different from what it was like for me or for Dan or probably for you when you were applying for school. My youngest is a high school senior. My oldest is a sophomore in college. So you guys know I talk about Seth, who's in New York, and Sam, who is at Maple Grove High School. And Sam was a student of Dan Cook's brother. So was Seth. And maybe that's what some of these elite schools were holding against him. Do you think was it a Mark Cook factor?
I mean, if you have a son at NYU, you're welcome.
Oh, so Mark could take credit for that.
I mean, correlation, causation, you decide. But
yesterday was the last school of the so-called elite schools that released their decisions. Duke. Now, I'll tell you where I am on Duke. Dead to me. Every school over the last 4 years that rejected one of my kids, I hate you. I hate you. I cheer for you to lose. I don't want your professors on this show for research. It's the parent thing, right? We all go through it. Now, what I'm going to talk about is I want to stem off the obvious responses that some of you very reasonably will have, because most kids are able to get into, most kids aren't worried about this, applying at the top end, supposedly elite colleges. The University of Minnesota, I think the acceptance rate is around 70%, which we can argue about whether or not that's good for the University of Minnesota. But in the University of Minnesota system, all of our colleges and universities in the Minnesota state system, there is a home for pretty much anybody in Minnesota who wants to go to college. And it's awesome. My youngest had a 36 on the ACT, which is the top score. Maple Grove High School had 3 kids with 36s. When I told Chad a little earlier that a bunch of schools, when I say, and Dan, we talked about this before, when I say, oh, Sam had a 36, and you're like, well, what does that mean? And then you're like, oh, it's the top score.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, Sam got a perfect score. I'm like, well, not exactly perfect, but yeah, the top score. Your first thought is
he gets in wherever he wants to go.
He gets in wherever he wants to go. Now, because were parents who pay attention to this sort of stuff. Because again, for the last 4 years, 2 kids, 2 years apart, this is what we've been doing, searching for college. And there are a couple things that I've learned in this process. One, on the top end, and the top end is not just Ivy League anymore. Elite schools that are really hard to get into are schools that just even 10 years ago were still a reach, but doable for a lot of Minnesota kids. Today, getting those great test scores, being the class president, being in choir and being in sports and being in robotics and whatever, all the stuff that all our kids are doing, they're obsessed, they're doing it. That buys you a lottery ticket. And whether you get in or not is a very complicated question. But if you go in with the mindset that this is a lottery ticket, now it's a lottery ticket plus, because you do have some control over this, right? How good is your essay? How good are your grades? If you have AP classes available to you, are you taking them? All of that comes into the decision process. But the weirdest thing about the college decision, and let me give you some numbers before I get into the emotion of it, because the emotion of it, as a parent, even though your kid is getting into great schools, and Sam got into great school, in 1 week, he was put on 4 wait lists and got 3 rejections. Ooh. It feels like every day, like, hey, here's a kick in the knees. Here's a kick in the nuts. Here's a slap in the face. Now, it is the ultimate of first world problems, right? Because, again, he's in a lot of great schools, and there are a lot of kids who would love to get into the schools that Sam got into. This is how competitive the major top, and again, when I say top, if you're watching on the stream, I'm putting it in quotes, because finding a match is more important than checking a box. Like, oh, I'm in this elite school. Maybe you shouldn't be. Maybe you should be in trade school. Maybe you should be in the school your parents went to. Like, there are all these factors. But take Duke University, which we hate. Duke had, for this cycle, 58,698 applicants. They offered admission to 1,950 students, under 4%. Duke is an Ivy. All total, Duke, because then there was some early decision stuff too. So all total, they offered admission to 2,800 students. So 2,800 slots out of almost 59,000 applicants. Lottery ticket. NYU, where Seth goes. I don't know if Seth would get into NYU if he applied with this year's class. NYU had a record number of people applying. 120,000 applicants. Rice University. Have you even heard of Rice University?
Oh, yeah.
Rice is in
Texas, right?
Houston.
Yeah.
And it's in this wave of new Ivies. So it's Rice, it's Tulane, it's Emory. It's really hard to get in. Rice had 36,000 kids apply. And I think they accept like 15, there's like 1,500 slots. It's just what's useful to remember as you're navigating this decision in this time of your life, because maybe you have kids who are those A plus students who are doing all the things. As a parent, you don't have that much control. So Dan and I were talking about whether, like, we as a society or we as parents, like, do we put too much pressure on our kids to go to an elite school? Why isn't it go to the U of M or go to?
Well, and I think the other kind of element to that is, do we put too much pressure on you have to get this decision right the first time? Right out of the gate, you have to have the perfect school, because so many people go to a school and then have to transfer and go someplace else because they realize, oh, wait, this isn't the right place. I need to be over at this place. So is that initial decision, do we just put way too much pressure on making the perfect decision there?
Yeah.
Because you think
Maybe.
when you I hate the cliche of 30,000 foot view, but when you take back, and look at it kind of from a lifespan issue, it's really not, it shouldn't be that critical of a decision, I don't think.
I would say, like from other parents I talk to, we all say that to our kids.
Sure.
Because we see the mental health challenge of like being obsessed with all that stuff. The kids do it to themselves. It's our digital world, I think. I think the fact that kids are able, and everything is ranked. That's the other thing. When I was looking at colleges, Alyssa and I were talking about this the other night. We got the book. Do you remember the book? You went to the college center at school. You got the big old book with like brochures, and you flip through and like, I don't know, that looks kind of interesting. I was looking for a school with good academics and a broadcasting program. In 1989, there were about 20. I mean, how many of these schools were there? So you flip through, try to pick one out, and that's Marquette was on the list. Southern Illinois University in Carbondale was on the list, and Drake in Des Moines. That's it. That's where I applied. Sam applied to 17 schools. When we went to the University of Miami, they asked the kids to stand up. How many kids applied to 10 colleges? Everybody was up. How many applied to 15? Some sat down. How many applied to 20? There were still some people standing. It's amazing. I would say this. We know that a kid at the University of Minnesota, which, by the way, the University of Minnesota has like a top 25 ranked undergraduate business school. It's an amazing school. Sam got in there. This is some of the randomness. Sam got into the U of M's business school. He got into the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
But not their business school?
Not their business school. He got into the University of Miami and the University of Southern California's business school. USC, the number 3 business school. Why did that happen? Well, maybe Madison was looking for something different. Maybe they had too many Minnesota kids. You just can't blame it on any one factor. I say this to try to get people to like take some of the stress off, but also just so people understand when you're talking to high school kids, just know like this is the landscape at the top level.
Yeah.
If you're now this is only at the top level. You know what I mean?
You talked about what you said you applied to 3 different schools or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I applied to 1. It's a totally different world. And I knew where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I knew that my application was good enough to get in there. I applied it. They said, okay. And that was it. I think I initially looked at Florida State and then looked at what out-of-state tuition actually cost and realized I could get in-state tuition at Madison. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just go there.
Yeah.
Completely different world than what you're going through right now.
Yeah, it was so different for me too. It's very interesting. Like the process works out. Everything is fine. It's always going to be fine. But right now, trending on the internet is this kid who, the kids post their stats. This kid has a 34 ACT, 4.0 GPA. He started a business and he's posting all his rejections. Rejected at USC. I'm sending that to Sam so he feels a little better about all the rejections he got. It's a lottery ticket. And you know what? It's a great lottery ticket to be able to have. The fact that you can even consider going to some of these schools, wonderful. Are the elite schools better than the supposedly not elite schools? Hey, to a certain degree, maybe you're paying for a network, but there's great opportunity everywhere. There really is. Going to one of these big name schools, is it a marginal life advantage? Maybe. But it does become for kids and parents of kids who have that achievement level, it does become what you do. You go on vacations, you go look at a college. You watch an NCAA game, you look up that school and see like, oh, is that school any good? I'm glad it's over. Now he picks, and he's got 6 great schools to choose from. But lottery ticket. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more on Drive Time with DeRusha included. What are we doing next, Dan? I'm so exhausted. This has been like my life for 4 years. Next. Oh. There are certain things you're shopping for on Craigslist that should come with a little bit of expectation on your part. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Drive Time with DeRusha is hitting the off-ramp for a quick stop on News Talk 830 WCCO.
If it wasn't for Livia, I'd be stress eating over the last week. That's for sure. It's Jason for my friends at Livia Weight Control Center. Look, the snow has stopped, but spring is here. Summer is right around the corner. Maybe you have been on the fence. Maybe you tried to jumpstart things in the new year. It didn't quite go the way you wanted to. Get the help you need from the people who helped me. Want to lose up to 20 pounds or more in your first 8 weeks? You can. Choose Livia's award-winning program. Livia personalizes nutrition support and medical weight loss options. I lost 45 pounds. I could not have done it alone. I needed their help. They're like a coach, holding you accountable, but cheering you along the way. A little bit of push, a little bit of cheer. That's sort of how it went for me. Livia's personalized approach brings you that medical weight loss option too. So a lot of you have been interested in GLP-1 weight loss medication. They team that up with the nutrition support. Plus, they're adding in new technology every day, Lipo B12, NAD+, and more. If you join Livia today, how about 8 weeks free? Your first 8 weeks, they are free. You're welcome. Visit Livia.com, LIVEA.com, or call 855-GO-LIVIA.
Washburn-McCreevy Funeral Chapels and Cremation Services has been providing compassionate and personalized service for over 160 years. Honor your loved one and ensure your own wishes are met. Call 612-377-2203 or visit washburnmccreevy.com.
If you need to sell your home, know that even if you can't time the market out perfectly, your home can still sell for the most money possible. Hey, it's Vanita. That is, if you hire my friend, the Good Neighbor agent, John Schuster, and his team with the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Wendy and Brian were living in the western suburbs. They didn't have much time to wait for their home to sell. A lot of stress involved. They'd heard about John here on CCO Radio. They decided to give him a call. It was the right decision. John taught them his blueprint for success, and they followed it. They picked the marketing plan they wanted and got $30,000 over the asking price. Contact John for full details. 952-222-9000. Online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. johnschustergroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Spring is here, and now's the perfect time to finally upgrade your outdoor space with By the Yard. March 28th through April 7th, By the Yard is offering up to 24-month special financing, so you can enjoy your new furniture now, so you can step into spring with confidence and an outdoor space you love. Stop by the showrooms, Woodbury, Maple Grove, or Jordan to apply, or get started online at buytheyard.net. But don't wait. This limited time offer is a great way to bring home durable, maintenance-free furniture that's built to last. By the Yard. Life is better outdoors.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
When he showed up, when he ever did show up, it wasn't very nice.
There's other instances, though, where he just shows up places and he's like this great guy. But I've also heard that he can be quite difficult.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
A lot of text in response to that last conversation we had about my kids and my family going through the college application process. I'll just share a couple of these. Jason, my high school junior, in all college credit classes this trimester, put so much pressure on himself to do well. I just want him to do his best and be healthy and happy. Parenting these smart kids is hard. I feel that so much. It is hard. It is hard. And again, like, this is a privileged perspective. It is much nicer to deal with this than other things. But, like, let's not be stupid. It is hard. It is hard. Another texter asks a very good question. Jason, many middle schools start this obsession with college at a young age with a program called AVID. I don't know what that is. But the question, I think, is valid. Do we need kids in grade 6, 7, 8 thinking about specific colleges? Why not focus on the skills needed? Do we really need college signs and pendants hanging in a middle school? It's a great question. I do think that kids mostly do this to themselves. Some of this is a society that is obsessed with ratings. So we now have quantification, supposedly, of like, here are the top 25 business schools. Here are the top 30 undergraduate schools. Here are the top big state public research schools, all these things. And kids want to be with a winner. If you are a high achieving kid chasing AP classes because you need harder classes, or you're, in the top 10% of your class, all of those things. I don't know. Like, are we making it worse? From what I see from most parents, we're trying to lower the pressure on it. And this is not, look, I'm no like kind of new age dad here, but we have for sure been trying to lower the temperature. I think it's pretty interesting. A lot of dumbass texts from a lot of jackasses out there. Should I go chat on the bit? No. Like, that's not usually my approach.
No.
Like, it's fine. Like, I told you 1 million times. I don't know. I'm not going to defend myself.
You don't need to.
I can talk about whatever I want to talk about. There are lots of other shows out there. If you don't want to hear it, it's fine. This has been my life for 4 years. Other things in my life, I talk about plenty of other things. Are we obsessed with what college? I don't know. Like, I examine that too. But like, we have, I think some of the difference is that today you do have fewer kids in many families and more wealth. So for me, I was the oldest of 4 kids. My parents were lower middle class. They had saved $5,000 a year for each kid. That was it. So if we wanted to go somewhere, we either were going to take out big loans, which was the antithesis the way I was raised, or we're going to make it work. And that just was that. Now I have 2 kids. We have 2 incomes. And so we can afford to send our kids to but to a more expensive school. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. Ultimately, it's not a problem. It just is what it is. It is a stressful scenario. It is exhausting. And for the kids, it is, in a way, the silver lining is resilience is important. And even if you have a couple acceptances to great schools, or if you have a lot of acceptances, for a lot of kids, this is the first like straight up rejection. This is a first straight up no. There is value in life to getting that no. We're going to get a lot of no's. It happens. And so that process, I think, is the silver lining. We'll shelve the Craigslist conversation. Well, I can do this in one sentence. If you are searching for a masseuse on Craigslist, expect bad things to happen. Okay? Like, there are a lot of places. This has been in the news for the last week. All these people who are getting, and nobody should get like, you go to a massage, nobody should be grabbing anything other than, I think we all get the picture. But at a certain point, don't you have to look at these people and be like, what are you doing? How did you think this was going to work out? Go to a reputable place. Go to a reputable place. Let's break. We're going to do DeRusha Eats in a couple of minutes. An American Legion in a southeast suburb has a chef in residence with one of the best fish fries I've ever had. We'll do that conversation coming up on CCO.
More Drive Time with DeRusha is on the way following these messages on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Let's talk about your lawn and let's talk about ProTurf. It's Jason here for my lawn care experts, and they've been doing it in Minnesota for 3 decades. ProTurf, I don't know, it's snowing, so I want to talk about 2 things. One is the sprinkler system, the irrigation. If you've got irrigation, you maybe turn it on yourself in the spring, right? Because whatever, I just turn it on. I really want to recommend you reach out to ProTurf at professionalturf.com and have one of their certified technicians come out to your house. I did that last year, and they found a leak that I never would have found. I would have been wasting money and wasting water all spring and summer long. Get ProTurf out there, 952-469-8680. Now, let's talk landscape. So many of us think about improving the value of our home. Do you think about improving the value of your outside landscape? Most landscape plants last only 30 years before they're overgrown and unusable. And a lot of us still have our landscaping from when our house was built. ProTurf will give you professional design at no charge when you buy a landscape project. Could be simple. It could be a whole property project. You can get an ROI of up to 100% of your investment. So go to professionalturf.com to see their work or make that call. 952-469-8680.
Some things in life just aren't reliable, like the check engine light that only comes on after you've broken down. That motion sensor faucet in the airport bathroom.
When was this building built? The 40s?
Like that buddy who swears he'll help you move, but on the day of... Trust isn't given, it's earned. For over 100 years, when it's mattered most, Minnesotans come here. News Talk 830 WCCO.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS.
Through HIMSS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Construction problems come with challenges, but legal issues shouldn't be one of them. At Helmuth & Johnson, we focus on construction law, protecting contractors, developers, and business owners from costly disputes. From contract negotiations to litigation and compliance, we make sure your projects stay on track and your interests stay protected. Whether it's a delay, a dispute, or a deal, we've got you covered. Visit hjlawfirm.com. That's hjlawfirm.com. Helmuth & Johnson, on your side, at your side.
Remember how crazy selling a house used to be? Spending months getting it ready and letting strangers in for open houses? Those days are over. Because today, the smart sellers are accepting a guaranteed cash offer on their house. Get yours today at chrislindahl.com.
If you have trees to trim or need tree removal, call an ISA certified arborist. Call the CCO Land Company I use. B&M Tree Service, 1-800-569-9034. Or get on the web, bnmtree.com.
Hey, Adam Carter here, inviting you to join me December 4th as we uncover the unique charms of Austria and Germany, visiting the magical Christmas markets with Colette. We'll unpack once and stay 5 nights in Innsbruck, nestled in the heart of the amazing Alps. We'll enjoy fairy tale cities where age-old culture is interwoven into seasonal specialties. There will be plenty of time for Glühwein and shopping in all the classic Christmas markets, and we'll visit the magnificent medieval cities of Salzburg, Oberammergau, and Munich. Plus, journey by train to the Alpine mountain village of Seefeld and get whisked away on an actual horse-drawn Christmas sleigh This and so much more. Colette covers all the details, from arranging flights, meals, hotels, and local experiences. Your only job is to have the time of your life. Don't miss your chance to join me for this magical experience. Meet me and the folks from Colette Tuesday, April 8th at 6 p.m. at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park for an info session to learn more about this exciting trip. Visit WCCOradio.com or call Colette at 800-581-8942.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Stretch with injuries continues to cause delays for Minneapolis. 94 eastbound make way toward 35W. Left lane is affected. Traffic is down by a single lane and slowing as you come down from Highway 55. It's also causing a backup to 394 eastbound. That's jammed up Worth Parkway to 94. Watching slowdowns in North 169 between Bren Road heading up toward Medicine Lake Road. 94 westbound jammed up as you move past 169 to Weaver Lake Road. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Pella Windows and Doors celebrating 100 years in business. I've been a customer for over 20 years. Great deal right now. $750 off your Pella project and 0% APR for 12 months. Check them out. PellaNorthland.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather is brought to you by Pella Northland Windows and Doors. It does look like the snow has stopped in downtown Minneapolis. Here's Chris Schaefer.
Heavy snow continues to fall and accumulate to the north and west. Here in the Twin Cities, we'll see some light snow with some light accumulation possible. That will change over to rain as temperatures warm overnight. It is going to stay windy. It stays windy tomorrow, but warm enough for rain showers in the metro with a high of 45, while that snow continues to fall and accumulate up north.
Our live radar map looks like a mess. The eastern half of the state, it's either light snow or light rain. It is 42 in Minneapolis here on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
DeRusha. He has the eats.
Nobody brings you the Twin Cities restaurant scene like our favorite foodie. Now, Jason explores some of the great chefs, owners, and stories right in our own backyard as Drive Time transitions into DeRusha Eats.
And DeRusha Eats is brought to you by the Minnesota Pork Board and our friends at Serdix Liquor and Cheese Shop. Our guest today is responsible for one of the best fish fries I've ever had here in Minnesota. And it was at an American Legion post in St. Paul Park. Mike German from the 328 Grill is here. It's so good to see you, Mike.
You as well. Thanks for having me back.
Friday night is when Alyssa and I came out to St. Paul Park. It's about a half hour from here, right?
Yep.
And it was so good, man.
Thank you.
There's something about the vibe in a Legion Hall on a fish fry night. For you, tell me how crazy it is when you're kind of getting that done.
Well, what's crazy is that we start working on Saturday for Friday.
So immediately after you finish serving, how many people?
Last week we did 500 in under 4 hours.
And so you start working. What are you working on right away?
Getting the orders in. So our fish comes in and we start getting fish ready on Saturday for the following Friday. It comes in frozen, so we start slacking it out. And then just working on everything. We have a Saturday delivery and then a Monday delivery and then a Thursday delivery, and different stuff for the fish fry comes in throughout the week for us to start prepping and getting ready for it.
I hear people all the time talking about fresh fish.
Yep.
But the reality is, doesn't most fish come into Minnesota frozen?
Yeah, we're landlocked.
Yeah. Sort of how it works, right?
And
if you're doing sushi, well, even sushi, a lot of that comes in frozen, right? Yeah.
Well, a lot of tuna is flash frozen.
Right. Yeah. Some of that is for health reasons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You use cod.
We use cod, yep.
How do you feel about cod versus walleye or perch?
Dollar for dollar, I will take cod.
Yeah. Walleye is...
I love walleye, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
And for us... So 328 Grill facilitates the fish fry for American Legion Post 98. So for them, it's their biggest fundraiser of the year. So we need to be responsible with our costs. We want to make sure that we are getting our money's worth out of everything that we do, because all the money that is made goes back to the American Legion.
Back to the Legion. Cool.
Yeah.
When you look at doing 500 plus people, it's also all you can eat.
Yep.
So how much fish are we talking about?
So last week we did 410 pounds of fish.
I only had 3 pieces, so don't look at me.
Did you have baked as well or just fried?
I just had the fried.
Okay.
I do think it's adorable that you have baked fish.
We out of the 410 pounds, we probably do 120 pounds of baked.
Really?
Yeah, we do a lot of baked.
Is this like people for health reasons, or they just like the baked fish? Or?
I think people just like it.
Yeah.
And I think if you've already come up and had 2 pieces of fried fish,
it's a
maybe
lot,
you get some baked, so it's a little bit lighter. I don't know, but we go through a lot of baked.
What? So the process of getting it ready, because you guys then batter it. It's your batter, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so that's what takes a while. You got to thaw it and then batter it, and then.
Well, we batter it to order.
Or you batter it to order.
Yep. But it takes for us to slack out that much fish and to
what
have
is what does that mean? Slack out.
To be able to pull it out of the freezer and let it thaw naturally in the cooler without running it underwater. You run it underwater and you just put more water into it. We try to slack it out. That removes the water from it. So then your fish is crisper and juicier.
Mike German is the chef and owner of 328 Grill. It is a very unique scenario that you guys are in, that American Legion posed, which, by the way, like, the people couldn't be nicer.
Yeah.
Like, holy moly. Are they this nice to you, all the people from the Legion?
For the most part. I mean, it's, we commingle. Like, we're 2 separate businesses that are trying to, work together as one. So there's always friction.
Of course.
But today's our 4-year anniversary.
Today is the day.
I have made amazing friends there over the last 4 years. Like, friends I'll have my whole life.
It's cool.
Yeah.
4 years ago, when tell people your story, because you've worked in a bunch of restaurants here in the Twin Cities. When did you start cooking?
My first cooking job was at 16. My first restaurant job was at 15. But like, I grew up in a restaurant. Like, my mom was a single mom. We didn't have childcare. I spent lunch in a high chair at the end of the line watching mom cook lunch. And now my mom's my prep cook. So it's full circle.
So you started so young.
Yeah.
And you've worked in a bunch of places. You've started a bunch of your own operations.
Yep.
How did you end up sort of it is kind of an interesting setup, because you were in a VFW hall before. You've been in these sort of fraternal, these are more civic organizations.
Well, a lot of people don't know, 10 plus years ago, I leased the kitchen at 1029 Bar in Northeast Minneapolis. So I was there for a year long before any of this happened.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Were you there before Smack Shack came in? Yeah. 1029 Bar is the first place that my kids, as young boys, started asking questions about bras.
I bet, because they're everywhere.
Because they're all hanging from the ceiling.
I haven't been there in years. I can only imagine how many there are now, because there were a lot I was there 2009, 2010.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, those were interesting conversations with young Sam and young Seth. Mike German is with the 328 Bill. So today is your 4-year anniversary.
Yep, today.
You opened on April 1st.
Yep.
2021.
Yep.
Still COVID restrictions.
Yeah, still wearing masks.
Crazy to think, when you look back on that time and how much things have changed. I guess what pops into mind for you?
The hard part really opening was the fear, like the unknown. Like, am I gonna fall on my face? Can I pay myself? Not to mention have a staff. Like, it was terrifying. Like, it was scary.
Yeah, I think it is. To me, there's a lot of revisionist history when people talk about things now with all this bravado.
Yeah.
But it was a little, I think for a lot of people, it was scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
and
COVID,
for a business, it was scary too, where you're like, I don't know if people are going to feel comfortable to come out and spend money.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, I didn't know. Like, I looked at the sales the American Legion had the last year before we were there, and they were pretty small sales. And I was like, I got to do this much to pay myself and to have a minimal staff. And about 6 months in, I just started to take off.
328 Grill is right in American Legion Post 98. It is in a very cute little stretch of St. Paul Park, which, as always, all the St. Paul, West St. Paul, South St. Paul. St. Paul Park is sort of southeast.
Yeah. There is a park nearby.
There is a park. I thought it was cute. The downtown was cute. The Legion was great.
The little downtown is fantastic. St. Paul Park's a great community.
And it's right off the highway too.
Yeah, it's right off 61, but it's one of those little towns. It's like 5,500 people.
Little ice cream shop.
If you don't know where St. Paul Park is, you're not going to find it on accident.
No. And if you do, like, it's a great place to hide a body. Don't you think? That's not what the tourism people said. That's not what the Chamber of Commerce says. All right, stand by. Mike German is our guest, 328 Grill. He grew his fame with burgers. So we're going to talk burgers a little bit when we come back. And I want to get 3 restaurants that you like to visit.
Okay.
So we'll do that in just a minute. DeRusha Eats continues here on CCO.
Jason DeRusha and Drive Time needs to make a brief pit stop on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Hey, don't forget we are playing Twins Ticket Tuesday today. So keep listening for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Sunday's Minnesota Twins game. I want to thank the Minnesota Pork Board for their support of DeRusha Eats. We know how delicious Minnesota pork is. In fact, I made 4 bone-in pork chops for dinner last night. Super simple. We just put a little salt, pepper, garlic, pan, seared them. Now, I wish I'd thrown them in the oven, but I didn't preheat it. So I just cooked it on medium. Juicy, delicious, fantastic. I put chimichurri on there, which that was delicious. But you could do barbecue sauce. So many creative recipes, especially with our Asian chefs using those flavors or Mexican flavors. Pork is so popular here in Minnesota and all over the world. You can get lots of recipe ideas at mnpork.com. And if you click on Pork 101, they sort the recipes by the way you want to cook it. So tonight, maybe you're looking for a quick, easy dinner. I always recommend the pork tenderloin. It's so easy to handle. Often your grocery store or butcher shop will have it pre-seasoned, but you can find inspiration on that website too. Feel good when you go to the grocery store and say, let's have Minnesota pork for dinner tonight.
So, you want to buy a house. You could go online, do your research, find the dream listing, go see it, and get catfished. Back to the drawing board. More scheduling, more viewings, more. This doesn't even look like the photos. You could finally find one that does match the photos. Then comes the offer. Stress rush? Yep, make that 3. And here's the paperwork. Yep, never-ending paperwork. It's a lot. But you don't have to do it alone. Because there's an agent who's a realtor here to guide and help protect you as you find the home that's right for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. Right by you.
Good morning, Doctor. Doctor? Hi, Doctor. Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Brought to you by Linda's Construction, lindasconstruction.com, East 94 near Portland Avenue /35W. Crash still working. Left lane remains closed. Drivers jammed. You come down from Highway 55. It's also keeping things slow for 394 eastbound coming in from Highway 100. North 169, get ready for the slowdowns there. Minnetonka Boulevard to Medicine Lake Road. 694 is jammed up both directions between Rice Street and 252. April is a great time to call Linda's Construction. You can get free installation labor on quality leaf guard brand gutters and siding. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Jordana Green here. I pray you and your family are always safe. But if there's ever a time where you need an advocate after an accident, let Mike Bryant of Bradshaw & Bryant help you. He will work with and for you in dealing with the insurance company. Call 800-770-7008 today. Bradshaw & Bryant, seeking justice for the injured.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather's brought to you by Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury attorneys seeking justice for the injured at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. It is snowing in parts of Minnesota. That light snow will turn to rain, low of 32. Tomorrow rains most of the day, high of 45. The Chicago forecast, not great for the Twins on the road either, so we'll be watching that. Thursday, for the home opener, 45. In the scheme of things, it's not that bad. Not that great. Right now, it's raining. It is 42 on CQ.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
Sometimes I feel like a completely different species than everybody who thinks that that might be fun.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
DeRusha Eats, our guest is Chef Mike German from the 328 Grill. 4-year anniversary is today. Mike, you got a party coming up as well, right?
We do. Saturday, April 12th, we do what we call Burger Bash. We host a bunch of the best food trucks around in our parking lot, and it's just kind of like a big food truck festival.
Awesome.
Yeah.
328 Grill is in the American Legion Post 98 in St. Paul Park. So pretty cool kind of business. You run the kitchen. You're a separate business, but right there in the Legion.
Yeah.
So you still get like the salty bartenders that you want at
Oh,
American
absolutely.
Legion.
That you expected at an American
Yes!
Legion. Yes.
Yes, that's exactly right. My wife wanted a Manhattan.
Yeah.
I was like, come
That's not going to happen.
Come on now. They offered to make it, but they didn't have vermouth. I'm like, I don't think you can make it. It's all right. We'll pass. Mike, burgers were your claim to fame. The Facebook Burger Hunter group is crazy for you. I love your burgers are so good.
Thank you.
Every week you do a different burger of the week.
Yep.
How many have you done?
151 in 4 years.
It's a lot.
We duplicate some because some of them are so popular that we bring them back. But we've done 151 different ones in 4 years.
I asked you in the break if you ever ran out of ideas.
Yeah.
And you showed me your list.
Yeah.
And that was a silly question by me. You do not.
No, I will never get to all the burger ideas that I have.
And what's the burger this week if people go out to see it?
This one is called Holy Shiitake.
Oh, you had me nervous for a second.
That's kind of the point of it.
Yes. A good mushroom burger.
It is.
Nice. All right. 3 restaurants that you like to want to give a shout out or you like to visit.
Well, for me, I'm big into food trucks. I don't go to a lot of restaurants because honestly, I don't have time.
You're working.
So first and foremost, Angry Line Cook. In my opinion, the best place to get burgers anywhere.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Very good.
Station 6.
Yep.
Another great
Another
one.
food truck.
And a new favorite of mine is Nosey's.
Oh, I don't know
they're
that one.
they do a lot of South Metro, a lot of Rosemount area. Burgers are really good. A week or two ago, I had a pork tenderloin sandwich, and I kid you not, it was this size on a little burger bun. It was absolutely outstanding.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just love what you're doing. I'm so glad you're having success. Congratulations on 4 years. And people can still come for the fish fry this Friday, but they can come for 328 Grill any day.
Yep.
11 to
8 every day of the week.
Nice.
Yeah.
For a chef, not bad hours.
No, it's not. Well, and for my staff, like there's no late nights. On a bad day, you're out of there at 10:30.
It's pretty good.
It's great.
Mike, thank you.
Thanks
we
for having me.
appreciate it. That's DeRusha Eats, brought to you by the Minnesota Pork Board and our friends at Surdix, the liquor and cheese shop. So much more to come in our next hour. I do want to update you that Cory Booker has topped 22 hours of his marathon speech. Lasted all overnight, lasted into this afternoon. So is this a new wave of Democrats being a little more forceful in resisting the Trump administration? I don't know. But I think the idea that Democrats are going to play the part of the adults in the room is not where the voters are. The Democratic voters don't want adults in the room, and the Republicans don't want adults in the room. So fighting seems to be the logical way to go. Coming up, we'll talk about the Wisconsin election that has gotten national attention. That is part of the lead. We're also talking about the Minnesota Twins. For the first time, gosh, I can't remember the last time you could get a Twins game on free over-the-air TV. Big news about that today, plus some thoughts on the new food. I tasted most of it, and I only have mild indigestion. So that's because I'm a professional. Drive Time with DeRusha streaming on YouTube on the WCCO radio account. You can catch us there. You can always get us in podcast form wherever you get podcasts. News coming up.
We're gonna win, Twins, we're gonna score.
If your kids have moved out and you have way more space in your home than you need, you probably asked yourself if it's worth living in a home that big anymore. Hey, it's Vanita. If you're thinking about downsizing, if you're ready, contact my friend, the Good Neighbor agent, John Schuster, with the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Peggy and Ray were in this situation. They'd been hearing about the Schuster Group here on CCO Radio and knew John could give them a stress-free experience while selling their home for the most money possible. Peggy and Ray got multiple offers on their home and it sold for a great price. They got to pick their move-out date too, and it's all thanks to the John Schuster Group. That's the kind of experience you can have. Trust my friend. Contact John for full details. 952-222-9000. Online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare, and I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-483-3030. 800-483-3030. 800-483-3030.
News Talk 830 WCCO KMNB HD2 Minneapolis St. Paul.
Sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Michael Wallace. Tomorrow, President Trump will announce new reciprocal tariffs, and they will kick in immediately. Many economists predict the tariffs will fuel inflation. These grocery shoppers in New York City are concerned.
My family's worried. I'm worried.
I'm not buying as much as I used to. That's for sure. Yeah, I just buy what I need.
CBS's Linda Kenyon is at the White House.
President Trump is calling it Liberation Day, when reciprocal trade tariffs will go into effect. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the message these tariffs will send is clear.
Those days of America, beginning tomorrow, being ripped off are over.
American workers and businesses will be put first.
Will the president reconsider?
Certainly, the president is always up to take a phone call, always up for a good negotiation.
It's still unclear how many countries or how many product sectors will be targeted by these tariffs. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
When Trump announces the tariffs in the Rose Garden, no CEOs are expected to attend. Instead, rank-and-file steelworkers and auto workers have been invited. Up to 10,000 pink slips are being handed out at the Department of Health and Human Services. CBS's Alexander Tin reports it's been a chaotic day there.
It's not like leadership had input into these cuts. In many situations, we were told managers not only had no input into who was cut, but also had no idea that their staff were cut. In fact, some of them have been asking their employees, can you tell me whether you were laid off? Because nobody has told me.
New Jersey Democratic Senator Cory Booker has been speaking on the floor of the Senate for 23 hours straight in protest of the Trump administration's policies.
People living in rural areas that see their local social security agency on a list that Elon Musk put of places he's going to sell away to the private sector, and you're going to lose your agencies. Well, I will fight.
If Booker can last another hour and change, he'll break the late Strom Thurmond's record for longest Senate speech. The Trump administration admits it mistakenly deported a man who had protected status to El Salvador. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson.
This is kind of a nightmare scenario for most attorneys when there is some sort of clerical error with huge consequences.
The man's wife is suing the administration, which says it can't get her husband back because he is now in the custody of El Salvador. Voters in Wisconsin are filling a vacancy on that state's Supreme Court to give liberals or conservatives a 4-3 majority. Elon Musk and other outsiders poured more than $100 million into the election, frustrating this voter.
More than a little frustrating for a lot of people to have so much outside influence on, state elections. But I think it's important to stay engaged.
Stocks were mixed today. The Dow was down 11 points, but the NASDAQ put up a gain of 150. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Snow and 37 degrees at 5:03. Good afternoon. I'm Mark Fry. The hour's top story. United States Attorney General Pam Bondi is asking federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty against Luigi Mangioni, who's charged in the killing of Minnesota-based United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in December. University of Minnesota law professor James Mayer says the move is part of a shift in attitude towards capital punishment from the Trump administration.
Donald Trump made clear as he was entering office that he wanted to revive the death penalty. He showed during his first term that he was a lot more enthusiastic about carrying out federal executions than any of his recent predecessors. So it's not a big surprise.
President Trump signed an executive order earlier this year making it easier for the U.S. Attorney General to pursue the federal death penalty. Mangioni has pleaded not guilty to federal stalking and murder charges. The Minnesota Department of Health announcing layoffs due to the federal government cutting $220 million in previously approved funding. Commissioner Dr. Brooke Cunningham says there will be consequences.
It will be tough because we all have been very reliant and understandably so, right? The federal government has sort of never shrunk from its responsibilities in this way before.
She says cuts will put the public at risk and could impact everything from support for nursing homes to response times to infectious disease outbreaks. A Bemidji man has been sentenced to 6 years in prison after pleading guilty to fentanyl trafficking.
29-year-old Patrick Burton Strong was sentenced in federal court to the 6-year prison term, and according to court documents showed that between March 31st of 2024 and April 20th of the same year, he conspired to distribute fentanyl and illegally possessed a machine gun. He and two others bought $10,000 worth of fentanyl in Minneapolis, and on their way back to Bemidji, they were pulled over by a state trooper who suspected they were trafficking drugs. That trooper searched the SUV and found a backpack with about 100 grams of fentanyl powder, a ghost gun with a switch to make it fully automatic, and a large capacity magazine filled with more than 30 rounds of ammunition. Susie Jones, News Talk 830 WCCO.
And a new bipartisan bill in the Senate looks to impose harsher penalties for exposing children to fentanyl in Minnesota.
According to the Minnesota Health Department, in 2024 alone, 20 children under the age of 5 were exposed to fentanyl and overdosed. Post. Author of the bill, GOP Senator Paul Utke, says it's time for a change.
It's bringing it up to the felony level, which then adds the jail time and monetary penalty, which I believe, we're only looking at, is it a gross misdemeanor or, something a lot less currently for the fentanyl.
This comes amid a 1,000% increase in non-fatal fentanyl poisonings nationwide in children under the age of 19 from 2015 to 2023. Taylor Rivera, News Talk 830, WCCO.
And WCCO News Time is 5:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Shop in store online. You can find a multi-car crash working. South 169, your Highway 55 is where you'll find it off to the right side. You're also going to find one that has left the road. So traffic is jammed up as you come down from Plymouth Avenue. Traveling Highway 100 southbound. Got some slowdowns there. 394 down to Excelsior Boulevard. Also got some slowing on southbound 35E as you make way past St. Paul. South 169 jammed up as moved between 494 and Old Chocolate Road. Save on Simple Eats at Whole Foods Market. Get 20% off select cut and packaged fruit with Prime through April 1st. Skip the prep with an easy sweet snack on the go while supplies last. Shop in store online. Terms apply. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
What a crazy winter. Crabgrass season will be early. Don't wait till it's too late to get your project scheduled. Call ProTurf 952-469-8680 or see their work at professionalturf.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
And this weather forecast brought to you by ProTurf. Find them at professionalturf.com. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
The storm is hitting harder to the north. Here in the metro, we'll have light snow tonight that actually changes back to rain as temperatures warm. Rain showers tomorrow with a high of 45. We dry out for the Twins home opener on Thursday. Mostly cloudy with a high of 45.
Right now, snow and 36 degrees at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Real-time coverage of what matters most to you.
Local first.
Keeps me up to date.
It's real news.
News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie, just DeRusha. It's Drive Time, live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
You're watching the cool, brainwashing 12-year-old and younger station that hides behind a slick image. We're so cool that we decide what's cool. And now, here's your host,
Jason DeRusha.
It is April 1st. We have done 0 April Fool's jokes. None of it today. There was a time when I was a young reporter at Channel 4 that I did a story on April Fool's Day, which April Fool's Day, by the way, was my first day. Oh, I didn't even think about this, Dan. Today, April 1st, is if I had stayed at TV, it would have been 22 years working at Channel 4.
Wow.
My contract at Channel 4 started on April Fool's Day, which was great because then it led me for years.
Sure.
I started working here on April Fool's Day.
Little did they know the joke was on them.
That's right. It's so dumb. It's just right out of dad jokes 101.
Oh, for sure.
Like am I embarrassed about it?
Absolutely not.
No, 0%. Cory Booker. A lot of you are interested in the Cory Booker speech. I don't know why. Like the 23-hour filibuster. It is the longest. He's approaching the longest filibuster in Senate history.
I mean, is it technically a filibuster? Is he?
I guess not.
I mean, it's in that style that used to be like, and it is impressive, just the stamina to do it. But I don't know. He's not
it's
really
just
doing
a protest speech. I guess it's not really a filibuster. It is a marathon speech. It's a lot of yapping. It's a lot of yapping. I'm in my third hour today. I'm wiped.
Yeah.
I'm so tired. I need you to hit a sounder.
Now, time to get you caught up on some of the biggest stories of the day. These are the DeRusha Hour headlines.
Good evening. Our top story.
This just in.
Our top story.
We begin tonight.
We begin tonight.
We begin tonight.
We begin with the lead.
And the lead story is our Wisconsin election. Wisconsin votes. It is the first major election after the presidential election that sent Donald Trump into power, Wisconsin is a weird state when it comes to their Supreme Court election. This election, so controversial, so much of a national story, that Elon Musk handed out $1 million checks to two different voters, trying to skirt election laws, perhaps, skirt bribery laws. But part of his way of drawing attention to this state Supreme Court election. So crazy. I wanted to get a little insight as to why this is getting such national attention. So we go to River Falls, a absolutely beautiful community, worth the drive from the Twin Cities if you haven't been out there lately. And Dr. Neil Krause, professor of politics and international studies at UW River Falls. He is on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline for the Lead. Dr. Krause, good to talk to you.
Thanks very much for having me. It's good to be here.
What the heck is going on in Wisconsin? Well, first of all, why is this Supreme Court race getting such national attention?
Well, I think obviously with Elon Musk's involvement, that's a huge part of the story, and just a massive amount of money that's flowing into the race from all over the country. A lot of people are interpreting this as kind of a referendum on the first few months of the Trump administration. I'm not so sure I want to go that far myself. I think that the issues that the Supreme Court is going to decide really predate Donald Trump and Elon Musk. The Wisconsin Supreme Court is going to decide whether or not collective bargaining rights are restored, that were taken away a number of years ago by the Republican Party. It's going to decide, it's more than likely going to decide the future of abortion in the state. Musk has said that, I think he said this at least a couple times, that the makeup of Congress is really at stake. And he's right, because the Supreme Court is ultimately going to ratify, election maps. And that's been going on forever. That went to the U.S. Supreme Court, and then it was kicked back to the state Supreme Court. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on long before Donald Trump and Elon Musk came in here.
Dr. Neil Krause is a professor at UW River Falls. We're talking about the Supreme Court election. The Supreme Court, two things that are of interest, and we have plenty of Wisconsin residents who listen here to CCO, but to Minnesota residents, first of all, the Supreme Court in Wisconsin is currently in liberal control, 4-3. Wisconsin is a fascinating state where you have a liberal governor, a conservative legislature. It is based on the way that the districts are divided, a very, very divided state. So it could become 4-3 conservative in this case. But you guys also let your Supreme Court candidates campaign like they're a bunch of political hacks, like running for a, county board seat. It is like the gloves are off. Somebody's weak on crime. Somebody is responsible for rapists being on the street. It is like your ads over there. We just don't have judicial ads like that in Minnesota.
Yeah, the ads are pretty much over the top, right? A lot of the ads that are running, of course, are not put out by the campaigns themselves. They're put out by these outside groups. And I think a lot of those are the more outrageous ads. But I think this is really part of a trend nationwide to have state Supreme Court elections look more and more like, congressional elections or presidential elections, even though the people running, the candidates running, technically it's nonpartisan. They're not supposed to take positions on issues that are going to come before them. So there are those differences. But you're right. The ads are.
Almost $100 million in ads. It's for a judicial race. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think we're not going to really know how much was actually spent until probably long after the election.
That's a good point. Good point. Well, it'll be done. I'm sure everything will be back to normal in Wisconsin tomorrow, right, Neil?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. without question, everything will just be right back to how it was. So, yeah.
Pretty fascinating stuff. Good stuff for class, for sure. Dr. Neil Krause over at UW River Falls. We always appreciate you. Thanks, Neil.
Thanks very much.
And now our second story in the lead comes from the Department of Justice. Should Luigi Mangioni face the death penalty? The Trump Department of Justice says yes. Not exactly a surprise, but the ruling coming today from Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, that they will pursue the death penalty in this case that has made international news. My opinion is that by pursuing the death penalty, the Trump administration does two things that I think are bad. One, you run the risk of making Luigi Mangioni, who, if guilty, is an absolute horrible human being. You run the risk of making him more of a martyr than he already is. Number two, you send the message that the life of a big-time business executive is more valuable than any other life of any other murder victim around this country. I'm troubled by it. Obviously, a jury will have to decide, and a long way to go. But that development, I think, is not a good development for justice. Third story is the return of Minnesota Twins baseball to free television. I can't think of the last time you were able just to turn on over-the-air television and watch a Twins game. I think it's pretty cool for a sport that's trying to find new audiences. Matt Hodson is the Director of Business Communications for the Minnesota Twins. He joins us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline. Matt, why did you guys do a deal with Fox 9 to get 10 games on TV?
It's exactly what you were saying, Jason. It's been too long, and it's important for our fans to be able to turn on free TV, just like you'd go to watch, say, the NFL on Sunday afternoons in the fall and watch Twins baseball. It's important for us to expand that access to be back on free TV. And Fox 9 is a great partner for us. They're dedicated to local programming, dedicated to community baseball, and it was a great fit at the right time.
10 Tuesday night games will be on free over-the-air TV. The last time there were some Twins broadcast on TV was 2012. Do you get this flexibility because MLB and because the Twins have taken your broadcast in-house? Is that what allows this to happen?
That's exactly correct. That's a big reason why we did this, why we brought it in-house. People have spoken about the potential revenue loss of leaving the RSN model, but for us, the biggest, most important thing was increasing fan access to Twins baseball. And because we did that, we knew the OTA possibility was opening up to us. And again, we're thrilled to find the right partner, but this was the most important to us, to increase fan access, not just here in the Twin Cities through Fox, but all throughout Twins territory with Gray Media affiliates. So it's a huge win.
You'll be on in North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa as well. And so if you count the national games the Twins will be a part of on the Fox national broadcast, it's up to 15 games. I mean, that's, if you're a Twins fan, you're still paying for twins.tv, or you're paying for cable or satellite or whatever. But the truth is, the fan base has changed. The younger fans are maybe not as interested in baseball as my generation was. And so trying to figure out how do we reach more people, man, I think experimenting with free TV makes nothing but sense.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the hope. You introduce somebody that maybe they're sitting around at home with their family on a Tuesday night and they're flipping around the TV and land on the Twins game. Otherwise, they would not have seen it. Now they can. Maybe that kid gets hooked and you've got a fan for life. Yeah. And that's what it's about, growing this game.
Now, Matt, if you're 0-10 by April 15th, the first game, we got problems.
We do have problems. Hey, I told the folks at Fox 9 today, I said, we were just waiting for this deal to become official before we kicked it into gear. So it starts tonight.
Hey, today over at Target Field, you guys showed off all of the new food. Matt Hodson, Director of Business Communication, you were tasting the stuff along with me, and Vanita was there, and Henry and Mark Fry from our shop. But I have to say, 16 years after the very first kind of Twins taste of the Twins or whatever, I'm impressed that you guys are still bringing new partners and new ideas and new stuff. It's still pretty cool.
Yeah. Did you know we have our Clyde Deppner, our curator, has an autographed Jason DeRusha napkin for what he says is the first taste of the Twins?
It is.
He's got it in our archive
That's
room.
true.
I think it's right next to our Harmon Killebrew jersey.
I remember signing it. I am pleased to hear that it still exists.
It still exists. Ketchup stain and all. It's here. But you're right. I mean, and the credit goes to Delaware North, our partners, our concessionaire partners. They do a great job of scouring the local market here and bringing in new awesome chefs each and every year, and returning chefs. I mean, Chef Ian Bang is back with a whole new dish.
What was your favorite? What was your favorite thing you ate?
Ooh, that's a great question. I might have to go with Chef Bang and the sweet and sour fried pork. That was fantastic. I also like the walleye tacos are really good.
That's from Fletcher's, Lord Fletcher's.
From Lord Fletcher's, yep. Jared Brewington is official fried chicken. I'm a huge fan of theirs. I love their chicken and waffles.
I thought some of Pete Spike's, some of the Twin Chef stuff.
The grilled Spam sandwich.
The grilled Spam sandwich was very good, and so the chicken shawarma on the concourse, I think people are gonna go nuts for. That was juicy and so delicious. Tons of good stuff, man.
Unfortunately, I didn't make it all the way down to the shawarmas, but I've heard it was fantastic, and we look forward to serving that this year.
All right, Matt Hodson, Director of Business Communications. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Always win Twins.
All right, Twins right here on CCO Radio. Pregame starting at 6 o'clock tonight. And if you want to see that new food at Target Field, I have a video on my Instagram and on my TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok. DeRusha J, or Jason DeRusha on TikTok for the kids. You got to do it for the kids. If the Twins are trying to reach new audience, so is AM Radio. Page 2 coming up in just a minute. We will flip the script and talk about the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which is apparently still happening today. And don't abandon your yacht. Stick around.
Don't touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRusha coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Ugh, spring. Tried cleaning your air ducts and floors? Helps with allergies. Who has time? Use Coit. They clean air ducts, hardwood floors, upholstery, blinds, carpet, all the stuff that makes spring allergies worse. Great price and guarantee.
Oh, maybe I'll give them a...
Here, use my phone.
Schedule your spring cleaning today and get 40% off. Call 800-FOR-COIT. That's 800-367-2648. Coit. Clean is new. Minimum charge applies. Discount doesn't apply to service charge, restoration, or commercial services. Restrictions apply. Call 800-4COIT for details.
Thinking about buying or selling a business? The right legal team makes all the difference. At Helmuth & Johnson, our team specializes in sophisticated mergers and acquisitions, guiding you through every negotiation, contract, and closing with skill and precision. From due diligence to deal structuring, we are 100% client-focused, protecting your interests so you can focus on success. Big or small, we make complex transactions seamless. Visit hjlawfirm.com. That's hjlawfirm.com. Helmuth & Johnson, on your side, at your side, for all of your business needs.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer-detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Advantage Seamless Gutters is now Advantage Home Pros. New look, same pros. Still locally owned and now taking care of all your gutter and roofing needs. Spring cleanup is just around the corner. Don't spend your weekends on a ladder cleaning your gutters when you could be spending time with family and planning that spring break trip. Trust your local gutter pros, Advantage Home Pros. Now your local custom roofing pros. With the highest quality workmanship and materials. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros. AdvantageHomePros.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-515-1865. 800-515-1865. 800-515-1865.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
Why do you keep having this scumbag on? Wow. Noted scumbag. Sleaze bag is good too.
I prefer noted scumbag.
Yes.
Right? On News Talk 830 WCCO.
DeRusha Hour News headlines continues with page 2. And we start with this question. Why are we still doing the White House Correspondents' Dinner?
If there's one thing I learned from this weekend, it's you have to be fair to both sides.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense. It makes sense in this case. You know, there's an innocent bodega owner. There's a burglar.
Or hear me out, there are very fine people on both sides.
Yeah, but he shattered the front door of a bodega.
Did he, or did he provide an innovative ventilation system?
That is comedian Amber Ruffin. You know, the White House Correspondents' Dinner used to be cool. It used to be cool. Like the president would tell some jokes, comedians would roast the president. But is this where our society is today? I don't think so. Everybody takes things too seriously. The president doesn't show up. He's at war with the press. The press is sanctimonious about blah, blah, blah. It just can the whole thing. New York Times reporting that the White House Correspondents Association canceled a planned performance by Amber Ruffin because they wanted her to, well, a couple months ago, they said, this is the perfect comedian for this time. And then she ripped the Trump White House during a podcast. This again. How many times do I have to tell you guys that the downfall of American society is podcast? We need all of you people with podcasts to knock it off. We can't have nice things because celebrities go on podcasts and say dumb stuff because, well, celebrities. Only people who should have a podcast is me, Jason DeRusha, which you can find our podcast on the Odyssey app, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. I can't imagine why anyone would do this, but do not abandon your yacht.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from
Minnesota Star Tribune reporting. I love how they started this story. They start out with such promise, the boats with names like Sunseeker and Freedom and Voyager, and yet, sweet destiny. The 54-foot motor yacht beached, bemoaned, and bewilderingly difficult to remove from Beer Can Island in the St. Croix River is just the latest example. In Wisconsin, there is a bill that has been drafted that would give prison time. You get 30 days to move your boat if law enforcement says it's abandoned. And the penalty, if you don't comply, is a 9-month prison sentence. There is a bill in the Minnesota legislature as well, a little less severe, but it would make it a misdemeanor to dump a boat. 3 different writers today published stories about a restaurant that is opening in 1 month. It's a restaurant with a giant Ferris wheel. So I thought you might be wondering, why are there 3 stories in one day about a restaurant that's opening in a month? And one of those stories was written by me. The former Betty Dangers, which has been closed for a couple of years in Northeast Minneapolis, is set to become Big Star Tipsy Taco Bar. So a PR person reaches out to me and they're like, Jason, can you come and we really want you to do a preview. And you're like, well, you want me to do a preview. So I go and I take pictures and try food and write a story. And they're like, could you hold the story until April 1st? And I say, like, well, of course, like, I don't know. And then you get an email last week that says, well, city review, city stuff. So we're probably not going to open until May. And I say, would you like me maybe to wait until we get a little closer? No, you can still run it on the 1st. And this morning I read a Star Tribune newsletter that says they have an exclusive first look at Big Star Tipsy Taco Bar. And I think, well, just wait until I publish mine. And then a little bit later, I see there's Minneapolis St. Paul Magazine's preview as well. So nobody had an exclusive. We all were under an embargo. They all printed today. And that's why you get 3 very similar stories that all started with the Ferris wheel will soon be running again. And it's not like we had anything planned, but that's sort of how that works. You can read my story at minnesotamonthly.com. By the way, why would you read the other ones? That's the DeRusha Hour News headlines here on CCO. Big stuff going on digitally with the internet. Our monthly series, Greg Swan Explains the Internet, is going to talk about a return to friends on Facebook. We'll talk about it next.
Jason DeRusha returns shortly with more of Drive Time on News Talk 830 WCCO.
This morning, city officials unveiled a new plan to...
Hang on, what did they unveil?
A new plan for building a new...
Okay, let's try this again.
Building a new arena for the...
Jerry, it's your boss.
Good thing I can rewind.
Hey, life happens. Catch up on anything you miss on CCO with the rewind function. With the rewind function, only on the Odyssey app. Download today.
Losing a loved one is hard enough before you have to start worrying about what to do with their things. If you inherit their home and need to sell it, the only call I would make would be to my friend, the Good Neighbor agent, John Schuster, with the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Hey, it's Finita. Melissa was in this situation. She worked with the Schuster Group to sell a home she inherited. She didn't know what to expect. She was overwhelmed. John's known for selling homes quickly and for the most money possible. He was able to get her multiple offers in less than 5 days. Her home
it's like a real radio show or something, right? Is that what people do? They just put...
at a sale. Stress.
I mean,
contact John for
now maybe that's what I do.
952-222-9000 or online at John Schuster Group.
They were excited that they thought they found
Get you moving. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Terms and conditions.
There's another camera.
If you have a snoring problem or sleep apnea, odds are you have blockage in both your throat and your nose. Now, for those who've gone elsewhere and wonder why their issues aren't getting better, this is where the problem lies. Because the true root of your problem very well may be your nose. We believe we'll find that your nose isn't working the way it should. And once you do get your nose working, your CPAP mask can finally work, or
Gen Z
that CPAP mask altogether. I'm Dr. with Advent, where we offer every
fascinating
spring and sleep apnea solution available.
So I got like
simple innovative that can get your nose and your throat working properly.
Yahoo News is pretty
It's a simple concept.
They bought
if you're going to get your best sleep,
engine.
you have to be able to breathe well.
Go to AdventKnows.com to schedule your appointment because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions.
This was a brutal week.
Some people follow the rules, but where's the fun in that? I'm Soraya, and this is Rule Breakers, the podcast where we celebrate the rebels, the risk takers, and the ones who make their own way. Every week, I sit down with the boldest voices in sports, entertainment, and beyond to talk about breaking barriers, defying expectations, and rewriting the rules. No limits, no apologies, just real talk. Follow and listen to Rule Breakers with Soraya, an Odyssey podcast, available now for free on the Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of the timeshare. At Wesley, we've got over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare, and I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-483-3030. 800-483-3030. 800-483-3030.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Still got a multi-car crash on South 169 near Highway 55. Activity off to the right side. Your slowdowns as you come down from Plymouth Ave and 610 eastbound jammed up Broadway to Highway 252 North 100. Watching the slowdowns there is moving between 181 and 990. Trey Peterson, News Talk A3O, WCCO.
With a well-designed will, trust, and estate plan,
this year
you
was
have peace of mind. Choose Matt Gutman of Gutman Law to give yourself peace of mind. Call him now, 612-895-1616 at gutmanlaw.com. Gutman Law, peace of mind today for tomorrow.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
All right, the weather is brought to you by Gutman Law, Wills, Trust, and Probate Law, gutmanlaw.com. Here is Chris Schaefer.
Heavy snow continues to fall and accumulate to the north and west. Here in the Twin Cities, we'll see some light snow with some light accumulation possible. That will change over to rain as temperatures warm overnight. It is going to stay windy. It stays windy tomorrow, but warm enough for rain showers in the metro with a high of 45, while that snow continues to fall and accumulate up north.
Mostly rain right now in the Twin Cities. It is 40 degrees on CCO.
Is Drive Time with DeRusha.
He does an incredible job, and he's not only a great announcer, but an even better person. So,
wow.
DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
I look good.
He is back again to explain the internet. Greg Swan explains the internet here on CCO. Greg, we're gonna have to get we're gonna have to get you an open. You know?
Oh, sure. Some sort of modem sound.
Is that the sound effect that mostly says Greg Swan explains the internet?
I think that could be my calling card.
Those were the good old days.
Oh, well, that's where it all started.
Did you have AOL or CompuServe when you were in college?
I had AOL. I also had a local bulletin board system.
You operated
where you can find friends on the internet. Remember that?
Oh.
That was this unreal thing where you could find other people who are into the things that you are into using the internet.
I was a member of a David Letterman bulletin board, alt.fan.game shows or something for TV game show nerds.
Yep.
What's funny is that Letterman news group, the guy who ran it, became a TV reviewer, columnist for the Kansas City Star.
Oh, sure.
And you're like, yep.
Yeah,
I mean, we were just nerds on a bulletin board.
Well, you're talking about podcasters ruining everything, and like that used to be bloggers. That used to be the people on these early news groups.
Except it was more difficult to search and find the dumb stuff you said to out you.
This is true, but there wasn't a permanence to that. So 21 years ago, Facebook launched, and that was the place where we started to find friends, right?
Originally, it was called
the Facebook.
And it was modeled off of the physical photo book that I remember getting at Marquette in 1989.
And it was very clean. So compared to MySpace and Friends for the early social networks, it was very clean.
Yeah.
And after it moved from colleges, then anyone could join. And we joined. And do you know what you did on Facebook? You saw your friends' content on your feed.
It was so nice.
We didn't
There was no other nonsense.
We didn't complain about the algorithm. You could post something, you could follow someone, and you could see their content.
So this week I saw on my Facebook that they were adding a friends feed. Now I have made the journey with Facebook. I had a personal page, and I had brand page, and I had a personal page again with followers, and now I have a brand page and a personal page.
I mean, that's a journey for sure.
It's made it way less fun because I don't see my friends' content.
You don't see your friends' content, and many people have left Facebook, and they found other places for that. So this is big news that Facebook has added a friends feed, which in your app right now, if you've updated your app, there's a button in the navigation on your phone that will show you your friends only feed content. And why is that amazing? Because Facebook's been around for 21 years, and they're reinventing how we think about the app by bringing up all things friends content back.
What do you think about it?
I think that it is more curated, more important, and also maybe a little too late. It still is going to be rife with, you're still going to get ads. You're still going to get recommended marketplace content you're not looking for. But I will tell you, with the fracturing of additional kind of just social fracture right now, I'm personally spending a lot more time in Facebook groups and in Reddit subreddits.
I've been in Reddit. Same.
And so let's go. We were just talking about dial up and joining these bulletin boards. It was to find other people who are interested in what you're interested in. It's the best part of the internet. And so Facebook is attempting to help us find that. That is good. Is it too little, too late? Probably not. Facebook's too big.
It's probably
to go
too
away.
Yeah.
But it's probably for the next generation to say, I want to go to Facebook.
Where are people finding those friends? Is it in Reddit? I don't know. Like, it's not as personal. It's not like there are Reddit meetups.
I will see people in subreddits around concerts in town saying, hey, I'm going to go by myself and you want to meet up, and they will meet up.
Okay. That is sort of like the olden.
And that's the tweet ups. That's the opportunity of finding your others, which was actually
in a lonely society, which unquestionably we are. Like, could we maybe solve some of that by getting back to these digital communities?
Who knew it was coming back to people and back to friends.
Greg Swan is with us. Greg Swan explains the internet. There seems to be no frenzy about it, but we are close to the TikTok deadline again, aren't we?
4 days. 4 days.
Is it really going to happen this time, you think?
I don't think.
Is it going to be banned is the question for those of you who live normal lives and don't spend all of it on TikTok.
So if you don't know, so Facebook or TikTok had until the end of last year to divest, and that divestment did not happen. It was delayed by 75 days. That delay ends at 4. Is it going to get banned? Probably not. The president's already said the deal is going to happen. You can easily just push it back again. And for the most part, most brands, it's April Fool's Day. There's been a lot of brands doing fun stuff on TikTok. They're still prioritizing TikTok. We just assume it's going to exist.
Greg Swan is our guest. Signal is an app that I think people largely were not familiar with, most people. If you were not a journalist or a CIA member and you knew about Signal, I might have questions as to what you were doing on Signal. Were you conducting an affair or running some sort of drug dealing operation? Apparently, it's the top leaders of our federal government, and we heard about Pete Hegseth, Pride of Forest Lake, Department of Defense, and sort of the war planning that ended up in the news this week. But it has since come out that high-level officials, Republicans, Democrats, doesn't really matter, they have been using Signal. Could you first explain what is Signal? How is that different from any other group chat?
When you think about texting your friends or family, you're opening an app on your phone to text with them. Signal is an additional chat app. It just has an extra layer of encryption on it that you might not have if you're just texting on your Android or Apple phone. And so because of that, it's used for things like whistleblowing or journalist sources or, I guess, planning wars.
Planning wars? Why not?
they would say we weren't planning. We were just kind of telling you what was about to happen 2 hours in advance of launching bombs. It wasn't really planning. It wasn't war plans. It's just more like war chat.
So, but when we go back, so we were talking about bulletin boards and then Facebook, and you said publishing stuff on the internet and it comes back to bite you, right? There's been a huge move to sharing in social and chat apps. Snapchat being one of the biggest ones, where it is a chat-focused app. Facebook Messenger launched their own version of this, and then they bought WhatsApp, which is the global version of that. Commerce built into these apps. This thing that we call dark social, meaning it's not public social. It's in the dark. And really, right now, we're seeing everyone understand the power of chat apps. And if you think about your own social media usage, how much more you're posting in chat than maybe you are posting in public social right now.
Yeah, one of my best friends has pretty much gone dark on X and just has group chats. Different topics, different people, and you're in or you're out.
So more than 81% of Americans text regularly. And what do we prefer over? Phone calls.
Yeah.
Right. Someone calls you and you text them and you say, hey, what do you need?
It's true.
I don't
want to talk to you. I don't have time.
And then on the brand marketing side, we're seeing a huge amount of sales coming from that. So imagine, imagine you were texting me, hey, do you recommend a lawnmower? I text you a link to that, you buy it. That wasn't me recommending it on a social network, etc.
Right.
And those brands can see that traffic's coming. It's why apps like WhatsApp, Messenger, they now have money exchange. They have stores built into them because
brands see.
Yeah, chat
the
is the new
traffic
social.
is coming from chat.
Chat's the new social to the point where world leaders are allegedly planning these rollouts.
It's so interesting, right? For the average person out there listening to you, is there a takeaway from all of this? Is this an area that people should maybe be a little more wary about? Or what do you think?
In the same way we would have 10, 15 years ago, we would have said anything you post on social or on the internet can come back and haunt you. I think you should be very careful of what you're texting people because there's always a screenshot. There's always a record somewhere. Even if it's encrypted, you never know who you accidentally added to the group chat.
Yeah. Well, this is good advice. This is good advice. I know I spent a lot of time warning my kids about saying something on social media that would cost their college application.
I mean,
and now it's be aware of your chat.
For someone who's almost every word is documented on the internet and on the airwaves, that's big advice, actually.
Greg Swan is with us. You know, it used to be I could just say stuff and it would go out there. Now, like this YouTube video, I'll have a transcript with it soon enough, a searchable transcript. Now I'm in real trouble. People are going to know what we're talking about here. We'll continue more with Greg Swan as Greg Swan explains the internet. If you have questions, as always, 651-461-9226. DriveTime, coming back.
DriveTime with DeRusha is back after this on News Talk 830 WCCO.
There is a certain kind of weirdo that on a day where snow is happening on April 1st, you look out your window and think, I wonder how my lawn's doing. And for you, you've got ProTurf. It's Jason, and I am that certain kind of weirdo. I love my lawn. I love having it green and lush and weed-free. And ProTurf is different. They've been here in the Twin Cities for 30 years. And one of the things that I love about ProTurf is that when you call them or you go to professionalturf.com, they will come to your house. Just about everybody out there in the lawn care business is doing estimates through kind of Google Maps and satellite images of your house. ProTurf will bring a person to your yard because some parts of your yard might have shade. Some parts might need liquid treatments. Other parts might be better with granular. They're going to design a solution for you, and it's not going to cost you more. They just like to do it the old-fashioned way. 952-469-8680. They'll do the same thing with your irrigation system. Their chief irrigation tech has been with the company for 20 years. That tells you something. And so many people will call an irrigation guy to close the system before winter. I really recommend calling in the spring because your tech can find a leak that you'll be just squirting water out into nothing all summer long. They can fix that, save you money on the front end. ProTurf is at professionalturf.com or make a call 952-469-8680.
You know that feeling when you're about to cut into a juicy steak and hope it tastes as perfect as it looks? Well, worry no more. The Chef IQ Sense is a wireless cooking thermometer that eliminates under or overcooking your chicken, fish, or meat, whether on the stove, top, oven, or grill. The probe is inserted into your food and connected wirelessly to an app. Once you select your desired doneness, the app alerts you when to take the steaks off the grill or the turkey out of the oven. It's that simple. Order one now on chefiq.com. That's chefiq.com.
I'm Karen Heintz with Baird Private Wealth Management. At Baird, investing and financial planning is part of the.
It is very strange.
Just as important is our personal commitment to your success. Meeting with you, answering your questions, working with and legal advisors, so you can see your complete financial picture come together. Focused on you, no matter what. That's how Baird's been doing business for more than 100 years.
I saw a photo today.
Baird Difference. Visit bairdinvestments.com.
Prescriptions online consultation who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information.
The most advertising the wolf has ever had.
Millions of men
Quite the
experience
effort.
but not everyone can access foreign treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl.
So you want to do screen time, baby? Yeah.
Many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now.
Is there any truth?
Through HIMSS.com, you can access
no way
a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If
Meaning you
prescribed,
can't
the medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy.
I have
To
something
start
you're
your
gonna
free online visit and find ED treatment at 95% less. Go to
I did, see?
hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, you have a solution.
You know it's going to be
in your car, at work, or with your kids, no matter where you are. Call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive. What shape the roads are in.
South 169, Highway 55, one vehicle left behind from an earlier crash. Traffic remains a bit tight yet as make way through the area.
Bummer for him.
94 eastbound, got your slowdowns there as you come in from 100, heading over towards Central Avenue, East 36, jamming up near Summit Avenue. So some wet roads yet out there, so if it's precipitation, give yourself some extra time, make sure the headlights are on. Jerry Peterson, News Talk ATO,
Jason DeRusha here. The Canopy Group represents 16 different insurance companies, not just one. They give you options. Each year, they'll review your program so you don't have to, making sure you get the best coverage at the best price. Do like I did. Go to thecanopygroup.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather time. And it's snowing once again in downtown Minneapolis. We're going to have this snow to rain situation over the next couple of hours. In the metro, it's mostly going to be rain. It'll rain all day tomorrow. High of 45. Thursday, opening day for the Twins. The game right here on CCO Radio. High of 45 as well. It is 40 degrees on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Headline for Greg Swan on Greg Swan Explains the Media. From the New York Post, screen time blamed for cross-cultural drop in birth rates. Are 18 to 34-year-olds not having babies because they're playing video games and scrolling through TikTok and scrolling through other things instead of having relationships and having sex. Greg Swan is screen time to blame for the decline in birth rate.
Well, that's what the story says. That's what the so-called study
So-called.
says. Over half of adults 18 to 34 are single. They're not even seeking a partner. Gen Z says they're not in a committed relationship. Like, well, we better blame the screens, right?
Pretty obvious.
And also, it's kind of hard to subtract the screens. So, yes, we could say skyrocketing housing costs, crushing student loan anxiety, climate anxiety, like all the things. But also, we are looking at screens all the time. However, Jason, I was looking at a lot of screens when I was a young person.
And you're trying to convince me that you were getting a lot of action back in the day?
I didn't necessarily say that, but this happened before. You know, in the 19th century, people said that reading novels could lead to hysteria. They said that there's mass consumption of the newspaper making people antisocial. In the 50s, it said TV was going to rot kids' brains. In the 90s, we said video games, we had smartphones.
But porn. What about the porn? Are they watching the porn instead of doing the deed?
Maybe they're just valuing different things than getting married and having kids right now, and that's hard. That's hard to understand, for sure.
It is difficult. It reminds me of whenever there's a murder, a mass murder. There's always like, well, this kid played video games a lot. Well, yeah, every kid plays video games a lot. Like, how do you strip that out?
You can't strip it out, but it is. There's no question that we're all looking at screens more than ever before. We all have our own ways that we're dealing with how we feel.
I do think, and maybe it's my own sample size, but I do think my kids complain about other kids not wanting to hang out.
I think it's also how many people met on Bumble or Match and are getting married right now.
Yeah. But you had to actually leave your house to do that.
That's not untrue.
Yeah, I think. I did. Full disclosure, I asked my wife out using the Gopher instant chat feature.
There you go. The rest is history.
So kids, you can stay on the screen, but sometimes you might want to ask somebody out.
Maybe just use the DM function. Get back to that chat. Get back to the chat.
Use the chat. Thanks, Greg. Great stuff.
See you on the internet.
Greg Swan with us. He'll be back next month. Twins baseball coming up next here on CCO.
Hey, Adam Carter here, inviting you to join me December 4th as we uncover the unique charms of Austria and Germany, visiting the